Ta-da! I think I'm live. Hi. Welcome, everyone. How's it going, kids? Oh, we are a little early. I got a little ball thing. Okay, it's pretty cool. I can't do the crystal stuff that people do, right? That kind of shit. I can't really do that, but it's still fun to play with. Okay. Look at Wick playing with balls on the stream. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I like to fidget a little bit. How's everyone doing? Cowboy subs! Nice to see you. Cowboys, 5 subs, 5 SPS. I don't know how to say your name, buddy. Cowboy. How about that? How you doing, Cowboy? Awesome, Miss Coyote. Nice to see you. Oh, nice to see you, gang. Oh, man. You guys, how you guys feeling? How's everyone doing? Yesterday was a lot. Yesterday was a lot. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? Yeah, yesterday's show was awesome, but it was it was a lot. I don't know. I try to segment my shows into digestible segments. And 2 hours, maybe 3 hours is kind of when I think, okay, let's wind it down. We've covered the topic. We've gone through it. We're good. But for whatever reason last night, everyone wanted to do a marathon, okay? So Destiny's in here for 9 hours just going and going. Dux Imperious, nice to see you. Ant, what's the spoons and utensils? What's the utensil emojis for? Grim Jr. asks, what CEO? Yeah, we're going to get to that. Health insurance CEO. Gun down. I'm not going to show you the clip. You can find it on Twitter if you like. But, yeah, man. This dude just in a hoodie, right? I swear it wasn't me. You guys knew where I was. Yes, yesterday, right? Anyway, he gets a gun, cocks it, and pow, right? Just in middle of the street. Middle of the street. Just goes in and shoots this guy, okay? Shoots him dead. Wild shit, okay? Wild shit. And then the worst people you know in the world, okay? The worst people you know in the world are celebrating this. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about it. Don't get me worked up yet. Look, seeing the responses, the dehumanization of people upsets me. And it makes me upset. And I'm going to be upset this stream, right? So be prepped for that. Wick's going to wick out a little bit. But yeah, I'm trying to ease into it. Okay, I don't want to blow my load early. Okay, we gotta get a little foreplay going. We gotta wet your whistle a little bit before we just go in raw. Okay. Brace for blood libel. Gotcha. I mean, look, unironically, I think that the idea that so I'm going to tie this into yesterday's show. This idea of we can just do whatever that we want because the other side's worse. So we don't have to follow the norms. We don't have to obey the rules. We could just do whatever because the other side is bad, right? This is the extreme version of that. They don't like health. Look, insurance is a scam. Insurance, in the way that the health insurance in America treats its customers, is horrific. It's evil. It's bad. But that does not give you right. That does not make it okay to go down and gun one down in the street in cold blood. That makes you a murderer. That doesn't make you better. We're going to get into it. Don't worry. And I know that you guys... Look, I can see your comments in Twitch chat and in stuff. I know it's going to be one of those things like... I'm going to lose some subs for this take, perhaps. I still love you all, but you're wrong. But we'll get into it, okay? We'll get into it. We have some other things to talk about as well. And I do want to do some call-ins, right? I do want to do some of that. So we're gonna talk about it a little bit. Grim Jr. says Hassan Denim. I haven't actually seen their takes on this, Grim Jr. So I don't know what they would have to say. I can guess, but I don't know. So rather than just speak out my ass, I'll wait for them to actually say something, and then I can point it out. Um, but there's a we'll get to it. I got tweets, I got posts, I got all that set up, and we'll go through it a little bit. Parallax says nobody's gonna unsub you, silly old man. You'd be surprised. Like, I always see a little bit of either a jump or a decline after every stream, depending on how people liked my takes. Right? There's either a jump or a decline. Now, the big streams, I usually get huge jumps just because of the attention, right? But then, like on a normal day stream, which today's probably, let's be real, today's probably going to be a normal day stream, right? Nothing crazy is going to happen, things like that. It's just going to be like up and down. Jeb Tan says, I'm unfollowing because you shaved. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Nothing to do with CEO killers. Polar Knight says, I can't unsub, man. I'm good. You're good on my end. I know. Most of you, okay, look, at this point, a lot of you know me. A lot of you have come to terms with the fact that there's going to be takes that we're going to fight on, okay? But most of you still love me. Okay, most of you still love me. I don't know. I'm fascinated with this ball. It's really cool. Wick's playing with his balls on the stream. Yes, it's true. You know what? Let's start with some callers before we get into the meat of the discussion. You're live, buddy. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, sorry, man.
It's all good. What's up, man?
I don't know. What's up with you? You seem stressed over.
What do you mean? Did you have a topic to talk about? Like, this is a call-in show. I do have things I want to talk about, right? But I wanted to give you people a chance to call in and say what they wanted to say. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
You people.
Yeah, you people. Chatters. Lessers. Okay.
No, it's just it's wild times. This breaking story that you're obviously going to be talking about later.
Yeah.
It's going to be stuff that's indicative of under a greater underlying problem of things. This is clearly going to. I don't want to say it's going to cause copycatters because that seems like such a myopic way to frame this, but it's emboldened, I guess. This happens, stuff like this happens, and then people think that's just the direction to go down. I don't like it. I don't like escalation, really, any regard. Be warfare, or there be, something that's happening domestically, it's police action, so on and so forth. So this stuff goes on and on and on, and it's we haven't even gotten to the inauguration yet. We have several areas of operation within this country where we can really see some legitimate spirals before we even have a changeover, and then just an administration. Regardless of who the administration is coming in, it's going to be an absolute shit fest before they're able to get a lid on any of this. So
yeah. It's a lot. So first of all, No Cow Mike, thank you for the Prime sub. 22 months with me. Why are you still here? I love you, buddy. But 22 months it's almost 2 years. It's a long time. I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for sticking that out with me. So thank you for the sub. So for those who are asking, the CEO's name was Brian Thompson. I think he was a CEO of I believe it was United Healthcare.
Yeah, one of the largest healthcare things.
Yeah, he's I'm not gonna pretend that healthcare is, or these companies are like altruistic or even good. I think that a lot of these countries do harm. Okay, or not these countries. A lot of these companies do harm. I think that they're bad in a lot of ways. But that does, again, like this justification that people do. Okay, I realized something yesterday, by the way. Okay, you want to hear what I realized while trying to wrangle that chaos yesterday?
Yeah.
I realized that the reason I don't blow up like Josiah or a lot of the other people in that kind of sphere of things. Is because of the fundamental difference in how we do content, and I'll explain. So their content, a lot of that kind of content provides a permission structure for people to indulge in their worst impulses, to indulge in being mean to the other side, to paint the other side as evil, to paint the other side as bad, to indulge. It feeds in to the things that the people want to do just naturally. It's just human instinct, the tribalism and things like that. It feeds into that and provides a permission structure for it. A permission structure to think everyone on the other side is crazy, evil retards. My content does not provide such a permission structure, and in fact, a lot of my content is finger wagging. I guess to talk about it in a less not in a more kind of how they would view it as is I'm scolding. I'm a scold. I'm saying, hey, you should not do this. Hey, this behavior is not good. Hey, this natural thing you're thinking, you should stop doing that. That's what I'm telling people to do. I'm telling people no. At the end of the day, I'm telling people no. I'm saying no. Stop. And no one likes to be told that. Not really, okay? They want to hear the other side be told that, but they don't want to be told that. They don't want to be ever told that they're wrong. They don't want to ever be here that they have done something perhaps that is bad or that they want to do something that is bad. And it's just never going to take off. And I'm okay with that. Okay? I've accepted that. Uh Luckily for me, I'm pretty, so I get a little money anyways. But that's kind of just
Mm-hmm.
the just life, man, and it's not fair, but it is what it is, right?
Well,
What are your
it's
thoughts?
it's 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 a good part of the reason I like being a part of this community versus DGG or other communities that are out there. I'm a Tim Pool fan. I'm in his Discord actually. Just you know, helped him. I helped them fix their 7 Days to Die server and stuff. But a good reason why I like being a part of this server primarily, why I always come back here, is there's more human people here. Like everybody, I've seen more people capable of dropping their ego here um, than I have anywhere else. I mean, we had a long conversation last night. Shout out to Frey and all of them. And it got heated at certain points, but at the end of it, we were all amicable. We all calmed down. We all, yeah, sorry I said this to you, man. Yeah, I said sorry. Yeah, it was a good conversation, blah, blah, blah. And we went our separate ways. But this is how many members in this Discord? This is such a small sample side of like the broader internet political scape.
Yeah, I like look if we're looking at to compare numbers, my numbers are very very low
Yeah,
on.
so it sucks that they're just this isn't more attractive broadly, more broadly attractive across the internet because I think people need. You're right. People need to be told no. This you cannot. I get we're all treating politics like it's football, but this
Mhm.
rhetoric does eventually just snowball. Politics is a very
Yeah,
tangible thing anybody can access,
and I
and
would
it will
argue, and I
snowball.
think I said this before you came on, right, is that what happened today with the CEO is taking Destiny's argument, Josiah's argument, their argument to its natural extension, its extreme extension, to be clear, right? I'm not saying that
Hmm.
they're advocating for this in any way, but I'm saying that that sort of way of thinking, if taken to the extreme, leads down this path, right? It does.
Yeah,
It
you
leads
will.
down this path. This justification, this is bad, and it is. I'll just cop to that. Health insurance companies are a scam. They treat their employees terribly, right? Or they treat their customers terribly. It's horrific in a lot of ways. So someone out there felt okay. So that gives me justification to go out and gun this man down in cold blood.
Well, it's one of the infographics being shared around in light of this news is the one where it points out how many denials United Healthcare has
I don't know. I don't have the infographic with me.
Yeah, I
but
don't
it's a
have it
lot,
on hand.
right? It's
Yeah,
a lot.
it's a lot, but they're also one of the largest healthcare networks in the country. They're going to have a significant amount of denials to their system. And I agree that the denial shouldn't be as high as they are, and they shouldn't, X, Y, Z. But this is not something that needs to lead to the assassination of a CEO who probably isn't formatting a lot of that denial policy. He's more than likely has oversight of it. He more than likely can be aware of it.
There is some accountability, right? Like morally,
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
put some accountability on that, right? But when we talk about accountability, this is one of the phrases I hate to hear. We need to hold people accountable, not because I disagree with it, but because no one's ever specific about that. And we need to hold people accountable can mean a wide variety of things, some of which I would agree with, a lot of which I would not and find kind of horrific, right? And so it's really hard to kind of even engage with someone who says like we just need to hold them accountable. Okay,
But
that starts the conversation. Like, what do you mean?
Think of this. The CEO of United Healthcare is probably a very tangible target for this kind of scenario, but an exposure to something like this to the broader population also puts out into the mindsets of everybody else how tangible everybody else is. I mean, what if it's not the CEO next time? What if it's just an employee of United Healthcare that handles claims?
Well, it's the same logic that trained you to go in,
Exactly.
right? Like you can justify this. And this is what I mean by permission structures. Like there's they create a permission structure to act on their worst impulses because this happened, which is bad. Everyone knows it's bad. And this person is connected to that bad thing that happened directly, sometimes less directly than others, right? But in this case, directly. Let's just give them to that. They're like, okay, because that's the true, I can go out there and I can do what I want.
Yeah, yeah. And people are in another context of things, you have to. We are still somewhat fresh off the back of attempts being made on a presidential candidate's life. Like this is not in regards to your permission structure, talking points. Like this is not. This is. I mean, I honestly think people are getting just more emboldened. Like, they see those attempts and then they realize how tangible these targets actually are, and that they could actually go ahead and build out on their desires to go and just do absolutely
Hold on, I gotta
terrible
fucking mute this stream. So
Yeah, take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to. I like this is a call-in show today, but I don't want to do call-ins like the entire stream because I do want to like just directly talk about this stuff. But I want to hear everyone's opinions. I want to hear thoughts. I might as well just bring everyone who comes in here.
Yeah, so
my camera is like, oh, there we go.
You're fine.
Earlier when you were talking about like permission structure and like I don't think the attack on the CEO is good. Like I think that's bad. But I don't exactly buy into the idea that we can just like you can just like continually cuck yourself out when you're like enemies. Like you've heard of the prisoner's dilemma before, right?
Yes,
Like
I'm
the concept.
familiar with game theory. Yes.
Yeah, you can't like continually cuck yourself out while the other person is just like, doing things in their own best interests. That's
what
hurting
happens
your
in the
interest.
prisoner dilemma if both prisoners try to take from one another, though?
Yeah, you both get fucked over, but that's where we have to go at this point. Like because
no,
the
it's
problem
no,
is
why? Well, then how is the outcome better?
No. The outcome's better because it's not that the outcome's better. It's that it shows to the everyone that this is gonna fuck everything up. If we both
no, let's be honest. What it really does is one situation, both of you die, but you get that release of being a dick to the other person. And in one situation, you die and you don't get that release. That's really the reason
everyone
why
doesn't have to die. It doesn't have to go as far as dying.
Well, that's you brought the prisoner dilemma. I'm using the hypothetical we've been using. In this case, right, there is no there is no individually or mutually beneficial outcome to both sides devolving even further.
Yeah, okay, you remember nuclear rearmament, right?
Other than I just get to be mean now.
No, that's not how it works. Okay, no. Okay, during the Cold War, right? Russia and America were building up nukes, both of us, right? And then eventually they both realized that this is just hurting each other and the rest of the world. So they did nuclear proliferation. But in the beginning, it was a bunch of fuckery during like spy shit and all that, and Russia and America, trying to undermine each other. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what needs to happen now. All right. Essentially, both sides need to realize that if we just keep fucking each other right now, it's going to make things worse. But the conservatives and the Republicans don't live in reality. All right.
No, I mean it's just a myth. I mean, I'm sorry. I look at all these situations.
It's not a myth. They don't live in reality. They factually deny reality.
Then everything I'm gonna say is about to be so easy for you to dunk on, and you just gotta let me say it so that you can take this easy dub. Wick brought this up yesterday. Pod Save America guys brought things up that Destiny agreed with, but then disagreed with. There are consistently times in all of these situations that liberals bring up to where the Republicans are so obviously all in on Trump. They're helping him do all the evil, corrupt shit he wants to do. But then when he wanted the filibuster gone in 2017, Mitch McConnell said no, and the Senate said no.
I agree with that.
Then when he wanted to push through Gates, the Senate said no. He wants to push through RFK, they're probably going to say no. Every time he nominated someone, almost every time he nominated someone or tried to push somebody in a primary, if they did win the primary, nobody went out and voted for him because regular Republicans didn't want to fall in line and they didn't care and they didn't want to help him. Currently, right now, there is like a big chunk of the Republican Party that is willing to take Trump to task and say, we're going to we're going to do things that are inconvenient for you if you try to pull shit like push Matt Gaetz through, right? We're going to publicize this thing. They held a gun to Matt Gaetz's head and said, we essentially got you out of Congress and we're keeping you out of Congress. And then if you try to be AG, we're going to leak the thing. We're going to publicize the thing that technically we shouldn't need to publicize because you're not in Congress anymore anyway, because we don't want you to be AG. And we want to create public sentiment, which is what they're actually trying to stick by. This is the thing that the Republicans don't live in reality, people don't get, is that you guys aren't living in reality. You guys think Trump is just this king that controls the entire Republican Party, and that's the reason everybody follows him. He's not. It's because he keeps winning. And so the people support him, and the people are who they're accountable to, and they don't want to get voted out by the people who also like Trump. It has nothing to do with Trump being this fucking turbo king who gets to set reality for Republicans. It comes down to the fact that voters want more conservative policy right now than exists. It seems like, at least in terms of immigration and inflation. And Trump was the guy nominated that could do that. If it was Nikki Haley, she probably would have won. If it was Ron DeSantis, he probably would have won.
I want to, look, I get it. Everyone wants to talk about yesterday, but I want to make sure that we get it back to the topic at hand.
What happened yesterday?
You didn't see the panel.
I want to respond.
It was a crazy panel. It was a crazy
I
panel.
want to respond to that, but I'll respect Wick's
wishes. Please.
So back to the United.
Yeah, but because we're talking about today, so if everyone wants to know what's the topic for today. So today, United Healthcare CEO was gunned down in the street. I don't know if it was a professional hit. I don't know why he was killed. We don't know yet, right? We can kind of guess and.
Clearly somebody wanted to shoot him. So
yes, but why someone wanted to shoot him is the question. Was he paid to shoot him? Was it because his healthcare got denied, or a family member's healthcare got denied, or was it a scorned lover situation, right? Or it could have been a spat between billionaires, right? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I don't.
The shooter thought it was an airsoft gun.
But regardless of the case, he was killed in broad daylight. And then, as TL says, you have the worst people in the world here trying to justify it and say it's good.
Yeah.
Who?
TYT apparently. We also have people.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Whoa, really?
That's
According to
his chatter. Okay, keep in mind that's his chatter, but I have other sources that I have checked, right?
No, it's not necessarily a ton of a remarkable number of notable people, but large portions of like the what I call kind of recreationally utilitarian communities, where like they like to opt toward utilitarian morality when it's convenient for them. They're saying like, well, good, one more billionaire dead. Well, good, maybe this helps crumble the insurance industry or it sends them a message. They're saying shit like that, which is just ridiculous.
I'll give you a good example. Here's a quote. If you want to understand the difference between liberals and the left today is a great example. Liberals are very upset because one of their biggest donors, the CEO of a health insurance company, was murdered, and the left is ecstatic that karma was visited upon the devil. That's their view.
Where do you? Okay, wait.
Where are these people from? I gotta know.
Hold on.
Twitter.
I
Where's
think-
the source?
Hold on, we need an intervention stream today. What the fuck are you following on Twitter that poops out that shit? Come on, now, fam.
I
Like,
don't
my-
follow
my
these
account is
people.
peace-
They come
my
up on
account
my
is peaceful.
stream. Right? They come up on
You
my
gotta
stream.
click off that For You page. You gotta click off that For You. Stick to following.
Let me get
God
this,
damn.
like, you got this guy with the meme. Let me get this straight. You think that killing a health insurance CEO is funny? And this other guy's like, and the Joker is like, I do, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. And then you can look at the billionaires who died during the submarine Odyssey thing, right? And how everyone low-key celebrated that. Well, I won't say everyone. Like, there was a large portion of people who were just, like, good. And this continual dehumanization of others that we think deserve or don't deserve human status anymore because of X, Y, or Z reasons, right, is disturbing to me. It really is. It's disturbing.
It's creepy. It's creepy because you see things like an outsized reaction. So when a guy gets shot at a Trump rally or Trump gets shot at a Trump rally, there's a lot of people because they don't like Trump being like, well, you know, they may not be celebrating, but they're like, I don't care that much because he kind of had it coming. But if it was the same thing on the other side, if someone shot at Biden, someone shot at Kamala Harris, maybe even someone who was hurt by one of their policies or was impoverished by something that they did or whatever, if they shot at them, it would be Trump's fault. If Trump gets shot at, it's Trump's fault. If she gets shot at, it's Trump's fault.
The problem
Same
what
thing
you're
with
saying though,
billionaires.
Jeb, is that Trump and MAGA have kind of created this environment. Okay, they laughed when freaking Paul Pelosi got his face bashed in with the hammer. So why would the liberals like cuck themselves out?
No, they didn't. Republican
Yes, they did.
No, Republican establishment because
The entire alternative media network and MAGA people, they all laughed at it.
Who cares about alt media? Who cares?
They helped win Trump the election. That's all he went on this entire election cycle.
I mean,
You can't say who cares about alt
He
media.
did town halls
I
on
mean-
NBC. He did like the Black Journalists Organization. He
like-
did not only go on alt media.
Like
No, no, I mean-
80% of his like
Republicans-
stuff was going on alt media. dude.
Republicans, when you say Republicans, which is what you said, you didn't say alt media. You said Republicans set this standard. They laughed. No, unanimously, Republicans denounced it. Unanimously, they denounced it.
Okay, the elected
And they called
politicians
for help.
might have, but
Republicans did.
the people did not. Okay,
The
they
people.
laughed at it.
You don't know
They
the people.
memed
You're
on
talking
it,
about
so what?
Yes, I do. You can look
You're
them
talking
all up
about
on
Tim
X.
Pool. He's not even a Republican.
Bro,
a
he's
fucking
basic.
populist.
He had Trump on his freaking. He had him on his show, dude. I'm talking about Dave Rubin. I'm talking about Candace Owens. I'm talking about all those people. And the Daily Wire people. Are the
Okay,
Daily Wire people not Republicans?
Okay, no. The Daily Wire people. Ben Shapiro came out. Just the CEO of the Daily Wire.
not talking
came
about
out and
Mitchell. I'm talking about everyone else.
denounced it too. He denounced it as well.
Matt Walsh did not denounce it. He laughed at it. There's a tweet about it.
No,
Okay,
I'm
so
trying
it's
to
like-
understand what you're trying to say here. You're trying to say that Donald, this is what I'm hearing. Donald Trump created an environment with this speech that may have led to people being, we'll say, passively okay with violence. Is that what you're trying to say?
Essentially, yes. He incites a lot of it. I mean, he incited
Then
insurrection.
why are all the
so-
violent people trying to kill him? If
Because
it's
he
all
incited.
people who support him and all the media that supports
It was
him
Republicans who
inciting
shot at him, bro. Like the
Yeah,
first
okay,
guy
no,
who
no,
shot at
no,
him was a Republican.
This isn't. We're talking about
Well,
supporters
that
of
was
Trump.
never
You're
released.
saying the most Trump supporty people are the reason this temperature rose. Then why is Trump the one getting shot at? Clearly, these aren't Trump supporters.
I mean,
Correct?
He
They're
incited
not
it.
that deranged.
Because he incites his Trump supporters to support a
shoot
lot of
him?
violent. No, to support a lot of violent rhetoric towards left-leaning people, or to support a lot of like
Then why
dehumanizing
do
rhetoric.
they shoot Trump?
Because
think
Trump
it's-
is the leader of it.
I
I
mean,
think-
shut
I
up.
mean,
If Trump is the one
Trump
who's
is not the
influencing them to
shot.
be
Can I just
violent, why are they
interject
on
for a
Trump?
moment and say how this is where we're at now? We're trying to talk about the CEO of a company, and we're back at Trump. We're back at
Yeah,
Trump.
Yes,
versus-
because he just said it's all Trump's fault that this violence is happening, even though they're all trying to shoot Trump.
I mean, to be fair,
It's
there's not a
fucking
lot to work with
brainworms.
there's not a lot to work with Brian Thompson yet. I mean, it would have been cool if they caught a suspect have some type of motive, but really it's just some dead rich guy.
So
at that point of talking.
I would like to push back about this a little bit. One, I don't remember if y'all remember 2016 where Time, or was it Time, that had the article with Kathy Griffin and she's literally holding a Trump's head and that's like been chopped off. Like this idea that the Trump team and the Trump people, the ones who started all this, is ludicrous. Really, I mean, we look at like the BLM riots where $20 billion in damage was caused. I guess those were all Republicans. Chaz, where murders were committed. I guess that was all Republicans. I guess Kathy Griffin's a Republican. The irony that Joe Rogan, a guy who voted for Bernie, is somehow this staunch Republican. It's hilarious. Dilemma actually does have a dilemma. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. That's what's happening here. He's over here just like you're hyper focusing on these things, and you just can't take what we call personal accountability. In fact, that's the reason why the left lost this last election. It's the biggest factor. It's not the economy. It's not any of these other things, because all these other things can be tied back to one thing. It's the left's inability to take personal accountability, and that leads back to the topic that Wick wants to talk about, which is this guy probably didn't pay his bills. This guy probably didn't pay his bills and got mad that he couldn't get insurance and decided he was going to take it out on somebody and make a name for himself. And that's my theory. He was probably some low life scumbag. End of the story.
Yeah, potentially.
I think it's really irresponsible to even speculate his personal dealings. I mean, I thought we learned from all the different happenings of BLM that we shouldn't do that anymore. We shouldn't like make speculations on things before we have actual full information.
And I don't think we need
right?
to.
Fair
My
enough,
point
yeah.
my point about all this is how comfortable segments of our population have become with dehumanizing others. And this is just one example. There are countless others that we could use, not just for rich people, but for people who disagree with us politically on the left, right, center. The temptation is there, right? Because this is a very human thing that we like to do.
I think we should dehumanize some people, though. Like maybe this guy that killed somebody, a murderer. We shouldn't be trying to humanize
I disagree.
murderers. If they're a murderer, he's a scumbag. Kill him. Like give him the death penalty. Let's get him off this earth.
No,
Whoa, hold
I-
on.
No.
Now this guy's saying to
So-
kill people. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
He's
Yeah,
a
you're
murderer.
literally
If
saying to
he-
kill people.
Yeah, I'm
Hold
saying
on.
kill murderers. We need to
let
ramp
me-
up the
All
death
right, so
penalty for murderers.
let's pull back.
Wait, hold on.
like,
Wait, is that a revolutionary concept that
Wait,
we
no, I
an
have a
eye
thing
for an
on
eye?
that.
let's pull
killing
back
murderers?
like 1,000 yards.
This
We gotta pull back. We gotta pull back when we gotta pull back when.
killing other people. Are you? This is
I
exactly
mean,
what I'm talking
Jeb
about.
Okay.
will like this. We gotta
Jeff, are you
pull
gonna
back.
denounce this guy? Are you gonna denounce
We gotta.
Yeah,
no,
well,
I
have a
think we
thing on it, but
gotta.
I'm trying to give
yeah.
people.
How are you going to denounce the death penalty for murderers? Are you okay
No,
with
I
murderers?
I
do
think
not
we
support the
gotta-
death penalty.
I feel
have a
rhetorically, I feel rhetorically we should probably pull back to when people didn't know who the starting quarterback of the Steelers was for about like a good. I think that's how far back we gotta pull before Russell Wilson came and apparently saved the whole franchise. But anyway, I knew you'd like that, Jim.
Tomlin knows best. Tomlin knows
Yeah,
best.
Russell Wilson.
I mean,
is pretty good.
Gibbs,
I will
would
say
you
that.
not consider it a broader, a more punishing punishment, I guess, to just keep that guy locked up in prison?
No, because
for the
guess
rest
what?
of his life?
Because guess what? That's more expensive than my tax dollars, and I wouldn't call it that.
Yeah.
This guy gets to live while his families of all these people that somebody had
Oh,
to
it costs
loved
more
one
to
die.
kill
Do you
people.
live in New
No, it
York
doesn't.
City?
If I have 69
does.
cents, I can get a bullet from the gun store.
No,
Like,
so,
I guess
hold
it's $2.50 now, but
Yeah.
either way, that's a lot cheaper than a firing squad than sitting here doing this lethal injection bullshit. We need to get rid of that. Go back to firing squads.
Well,
Kill murderers,
Hold on,
and that's problem
hold on.
solved.
Can I jump in? I have a thing with the death penalty that I think it's a nuance, but I agree with Gibbs and I don't. I don't agree we should dehumanize people. I talked to my fiance about this. We talked.
I mean,
about the death
literally
penalty
dehumanize them.
and why I
her.
support it. And I said there's a fundamental difference we need to understand. There's the difference between people who deserve to die and people who should die. I, especially as like a Christian, I don't think people, humans in general, including me, have any say or any ability to evaluate whether someone deserves to die. We don't get to do that. That's not our place. We don't have the capability. We're too blinded by emotion, and we shouldn't dehumanize people.
The Bible disagrees with you.
Stop. No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
The Bible explicitly says we don't get to choose who deserves to die.
Oh, really?
God is
Because the Bible
Yes.
has that. The Bible does
It's
have
the
that
reason why
penalty in it.
suicide is a sin. Is because
Sure,
even
but the
for
Bible
yourself,
also
you
has
don't
death
get to
penalty as a
decide.
punishment in the
Okay,
Bible.
Yes, let me fucking finish and you'll understand why. So, then there's people who should die. And that's an evaluation we can come to. And where my line is for that morally is if someone continuing to live increases the likelihood to such a degree, or nearly guarantees, that someone else is going to die or be harmed at their hands, then they should die. It no longer matters whether they deserve to die. If they have proven that it is not safe for other people, if they are to continue to live, then they should die.
And
so I wouldn't
yeah.
dehumanize. You don't have to dehumanize them to come to that conclusion. You can just say they're a human person. Maybe they have a mental health issue, or maybe they're just irreparably traumatized, and I can empathize with that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we can work on fixing the reasons why they got to that place, but they still
we
should
can
die because it's
recognize,
unsafe for
and
other
to
people for them
piggyback
to
off
live.
that just a smidge, we could recognize that the world is a better place without some people in it. I think we can all agree. We all have our lines. We all have places.
Yeah, you know,
But-
D&D fans,
Yeah,
people who pay for
yeah.
OnlyFans.
Okay,
Yeah.
go off. Okay, but we don't. What we
Cowboys
don't
fans.
want. What we don't want. What makes what I think is
Especially the last one.
harmful to our culture, harmful to us, right? Is when we celebrate doing that. We want someone, if a cop, for example, or a soldier, I want them to be good at their job. A soldier, I want them to make sure that the enemy can't harm me. And if that involves being lethal and killing the enemy, all for it. But what I don't want is a soldier who gets off on that. A soldier who
You better not talk to vets who got recruited
I
after
mean,
9/11.
There's
Yeah,
a
boy.
lot of vets.
a
I'm
lot of
not okay
soldiers
with.
get off on killing people,
Yeah,
bro.
that's
are-
a problem.
Yeah.
And I
But-
think we agree that that's a suboptimal outcome. We don't
Yeah,
want
that's
that.
bad.
And it
That's wrong.
leads to atrocities. I mean, there were major atrocities, disproportionate amounts of atrocities after when the Iraq War started after 9/11, because you had a bunch of dudes who were there because they got their dicks hard on killing brown people because they saw them as the enemy.
Well, yeah, I mean,
look,
there's a non like
go that far.
I think it's true to say that there are people. I'll use cops and soldiers as an example because I think it's the easy one to point to. That there's a percentage of them who just want power and they'll wield and utilize their power however they see fit. That can be going as far as taking one's life extrajudicially, or just harassing people every day and using the law as a shield.
Yeah, I mean, but the whole mentality around celebrating it is just the hyper mindset of internet culture and everything, and people are just ghoulish right now. The internet, the exposure to all this media and everything, and all this fighting and all this politics and sports shit, whatever you want to call it, people are just ghoulish about it. Their life sucks. They see this travesty as someone who has it going well for themselves, somebody who's probably responsible for some hardships or whatever down the line. And yeah, they celebrate it on the internet. I mean, that's a problem you can't solve. Like that, it is a utopian idea to think that it is going to go away at some point in life.
But that doesn't stop me from condemning it and wanting to try to limit its spread and saying that people, hey, if you were engaged in this behavior, it is bad behavior. And the frustrating, hold on, if I may finish, and the frustrating bit to me is to watch people get mad at me for that, or get frustrated at me for that, for simply saying, hey, this is wrong, we shouldn't do it. And then I have a whole bunch of people say, this isn't really important. Why are you even concentrating on this? This is a very, very limited amount of people, blah, 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 blah. Excuse. Overlook. No, I think that we need to confront these things when they happen. And I think that even, look, again, I can't confront every single possible thing that ever happens in the universe. I can't. But this came up on my feed. It's a big talking point. I see it happening. I'm going to cover it. That's it.
For what it's worth, Wick, you building the community you have right now is doing, at least a very tangible part of correcting some of that issue, because the people that come in they do have the capability of being extremely reasonable at the end of all things. Like, I get that your panels sometimes go a little wild or whatever, but the general community and the general chat in the hangouts and everything is very reasonable, and they might be fired. Like, Dilemma could come in.
Except Char.
Dilemma could come in and be fiery, but by the end of this conversation, we'll be like, all right, guys, we'll have a good Christmas or whatever, and then that'll be the end of it. There's no long-standing hatred or ghoulishness coming from this community. So you have done.
Look, I love the gas. I love gassing me up like that. But let's be real, that my community does have its problems. It's not perfect, right? It does. It's not a perfect community.
It's not as bad as the broader internet, though.
Yeah, I would say you do a good job at because any community is gonna have problems because they're people, but you do a good job and I've criticized you for it sometimes because it seems a little flip-floppy sometimes. I've made the joke that you're an establishment Democrat shill on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday you're ready to let's look inward and critique, guys. But it's good because you don't give your audience permission, and you don't put them in a position where they have to. Like my big criticism I was sharing about yesterday is I think Destiny's community has been put in a position because of his recent behavior, both on his streams and personally, things that have leaked.
Oh, I know this argument.
Revenge porn and the like. And his lack of a desire to address or apologize for any of it puts his audience in a position. They're essentially forced to do one of two things. You either leave and don't watch them anymore, either because you denounce it or you lose interest in being involved in that, or two, you have to become either sycophantly loyal or completely amoral. Because otherwise,
can I push back against that, Jeb?
I push back against that too. Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Destiny stan. I don't really watch his content, but I will say this, and I'll make a joke, just as much as the next guy, because if it's topic relevant, sure, let's do it. But I will say this: what do you do when you are like a streamer at this point? Like this is your brand. You have a brand. His brand.
Don't share revenge porn with multiple people.
Maybe don't share revenge porn. Whatever.
Probably don't do 2 streams raking your wife over the coals about everything she did wrong. Listen, you're divorced, and then leave out that you cheated on her for a year.
Hold on. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to defend him for everything he's done, right? And say it's things I would have done. However, one, as a divorcee, when I got divorced, I went a little insane for a while. So, maybe I'm a little more forgiving for that shit. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. On this flip side, if you're an online persona, maybe you apologize in the private, or maybe you ad lib some kind of soft bullshit apology that doesn't mean anything, and people are like, look, he did it. But in reality, what do you expect these people to do? What is Twitch poll? Really, Twitch poll, and I hate to break it to all the people that want to sit here and think it's highbrow debate. Twitch poll is just WWE for debate. This guy's a persona. He's a heel. That's his persona. Yes, that's what he is. He's a heel. For he plays the bad guy lefty. Then lots of people love him for it because he says. And I'm just saying to break to you, this is entertainment.
It's not your naked body being shared in other people's Discord DMs, bro.
I mean, my naked body's been shared somewhere before. Oh baby, but that's
your personal marriage details.
We don't know who the dude was. It's possible it was Gibbs. There's a non-zero chance.
There's
non-zero chance.
There's apparently hold on. There is more than just that video. Apparently, that got
I didn't watch any of it because I think that there's.
Hold on,
just real quick.
I didn't watch any of it.
Hold on, I didn't watch any of it. I think it's immoral to watch revenge porn.
Yes, it's also immoral to share it.
No, I agree.
Criminal.
But what I will say. But I will say.
So don't do those things. And then if you do and it becomes public, you apologize for it and don't put your audience in a position where they have to ignore it.
But here's the thing. This is where I will push back against you, Jebtam, because I've condemned Destiny. I'll do it now publicly, right? Destiny doing that, it was wrong. It was wrong. Yeah. It was a sin. It was criminal. All these things, right? He still comes on my show. I'm not required to stand him. Okay.
No.
Neither is his audience, though.
No,
right?
I'm just saying
if his audience condemned it,
hold on.
I don't think they'd be.
2 things.
One,
here's the thing. I was saying you do a good job of not putting your audience in a position where they're forced to do one of those 2 things. If you are in Destiny's audience and you are not condemning him and demanding an apology, you are being forced into a position essentially to either just be sycophantically loyal, which is what a lot of them have opted to go, or 2, become completely amoral in regard to anything with him. Because, dude, people keep saying this.
I don't care. Never part of them to begin with. That's the third one.
Yeah, that would be the amoral one because you're basically just throwing away morals and just denying and ignoring, or sycophantic loyalty. You could do it out of either. My issue is everybody keeps doing this, and this is the position that they're put in. They keep saying, "I don't care what streamers do in private." Actually, was a tweet I saw. It was 2 multi-hour streams where he raked his ex-wife over the coals over everything she did to ruin that relationship. Not once did he happen to mention he was cheating on her for a year with someone he was saying he was wholly in love with, and that he was going to leave her with.
But hold on, Jeb. I had this problem with Modi one time, right? Modi, for example, he's another streamer. He lives his whole life online. That's what he does. Me, I have my public life, and then I have my online life, and then I have my private life, right? I compartmentalize, right? So when I was sitting here, and you're I'm pretty much the same person at all, but I don't maybe put details about this private thing, part of my life over here, whatever. Destiny seems like somebody that lives his whole life online. So you're sitting here yeah, he did do this. However, that's where he goes.
not the
Well, I
parts
mean-
that he didn't want to share. And he
Well, I
got
mean,
people
he's not the
angry
only.
at
He's
him.
not.
He got
He's,
people
listen,
angry at his
he's not.
wife.
Hold on. He's not on
And he shared
Okay.
revenge
So
pictures
it's
on
not like he can
Discord.
prescribe
This is
what he's doing.
illegal.
Just
Why?
to,
Okay.
I
on
want
your
to, I
sex crime.
understand how this came up. But, man,
Yeah, I'm
we've
not
talked
interested
to,
in this
Yeah,
topic.
the
we don't need to
Destiny
stay on this
stuff
topic.
is like we've
I have a
talked
thought
that.
that's kind of related to this.
It is
Like,
kind of related. That's why I'm allowing it to go on a
no,
little
no,
bit.
no. I'm saying I have a thought that is
Oh.
like I guess moving away from Destiny.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I do worry about just the stability of streaming as like what I guess what we do, quote unquote, we is very loose here. Gibbs shares parts of his life in public. He's had people who are basically complete strangers to all of us next to him in streams, so they are a part of that experience in public. Jeb has shared different aspects of his life and what he navigates with. I have, Wick has. I mean, for fuck's sake, there was some clout demon going after Wick about his teeth when we know like the dangers of like the danger and the stipulations that come with healthcare and how long it takes just to get something like a tooth transplant. But this person went on this huge quest of saying that, like, well, what does he do with the money? What did he do with the money? And it's like, I know he's on the VA. I knew you were in the VA. So I completely empathize with the challenges that come with that. And I think something that happens online is that it's very easy to forget that the people who are streaming are also civilians. And sometimes you might run into the trap of sharing too much. And I think that Destiny is a cautionary tale of, or I guess a question, like how much of your life is worthy for other people to know. In this case, they're total strangers. Like there's hundreds of thousands of strangers that watch this on, but for some reason we conflate that they are just an extension of Hassan due to the things that they say in a chat. No different than in the terms of this dude getting shot, where some streamer might have their own individual opinion on that, but then chat's reacting to that is seen as co-assignment. When we know that, like, we've all been in situations where we've watched a streamer in real time crash, and there's no such thing as dissent as a chatter. Like, you can't dissent when Destiny is on his 2-day tirade over his ex-wife. You can't dissent when Vosh goes on a multi-month like hate raid against black nationalism, by extension black people. You get banned on site. You get deemed as like a Professor Flowers follower. And it's like, hey friend, like you're kind of devolving here. Can you like cool it? Because we are the like chatters are the, I don't know how to word this thought cleanly here, but chatters are the best perspective that we have because they're responding to what we're doing in real time. And I can think of multiple instances where creators have clearly crossed the line and chat's in this weird precarious position, even mods. Oh, like, what do we do with this? What do we do with
I don't think it has to be that way, though, right? I understand that you're
Yeah.
describing how it is. That I don't necessarily disagree for the most part, right? We're generalizing, obviously, but for the
Sure.
most part, no. That is what happens. A lot of Destiny's audience, even though Destiny likes me personally, right? His audience hates me in a lot of ways because I do disagree with him and I don't back down. But I don't think like it has to be this way. And one of the things I try, and I'm not perfect at this. I know you guys are gonna bring up like exceptions where I fucked up and things like fair enough, right? But like what I try to do is I'm trying to cultivate a space where yeah, you can sit there and chat and tell me I'm fucking stupid and wrong and terrible and all these things, and I will let you have your opinion, and you shouldn't get any. Like, people will disagree with you, perhaps, but you shouldn't be harassed for having that opinion. And I'm trying to cultivate that in my audience, but we'll see.
Yeah, and we've had massive
Yeah.
spats, and you still have me on without
Oh,
question.
yeah.
We've done. I think we've been on I've been on here with you a day after we had like
Well,
massive spats on Twitter
I-
before.
I think that Wick, you're right, and like I know that like I feel like this is something that the few people have tried to do in the community, and there's a line, right? Like I think there's a line between being able to have like conversations, and then there's people that I like, for lack of a better term, are malcontents, right? Like they'll purposely come in and they want the cause like malicious, like bad things to happen to somebody via their what they say, whether they're like clip chipping, whether they're like setting you up in the DMs, or like maybe they're just hostile in the chat. Like there is an aspect, and this is why, like, I guess you had that debate the other night, about the blocking and whatnot, and we were on here and censorship, and we mentioned that the block tool being necessary, and I think the block tool is something that I think is useful for like content creators that have this parasocial aspect to it, right? This parasocial aspect that hasn't been really mapped out. We're still like learning how this goes, because like look at like Destiny's a great example. He's on this line between like celebrity and like streamer, right? And I'm not saying that streamers can't be celebrities, but I wouldn't say he's like a Mr. Beast where like the average person will know who knows who Mr. Beast is. Like my parents know who Mr. Beast is, they'd never know who Destiny is. But like maybe the general population would be like, oh, I've seen that guy on TikTok, right? So it's kind of like there's this line, and I don't think that we really understand how the parasocial aspect works, especially when people's whole lives are literally lived on camera 24/7. I think there's a difference between saying, hey, this guy that shot the person should be fullest extent of the law versus, oh, that guy deserved to die because he runs a $1 billion health company and might be evil, or he's evil because he's a capitalist and I'm a foo-foo whatever social nationalist or whatever. Like, there's like that's a difference. I think is a problem. And I think that people have the problem combining the two.
On the dehumanization thing, because I think the second thing you said was dehumanization, but the first thing wasn't, right? Saying he's evil and he deserves to die is dehumanization, whereas saying he should be punished to the fullest extent of the law isn't. But when you said the first one, you were like, we should dehumanize people. He should be killed by the fullest extent of the law.
Dehumanize, as in like take him off this earth.
Sure.
When we say dehumanize, what we mean is create a situation where people are seen as less than human.
Yeah, I mean, I see murderers as less than human.
Okay, they're not though. I
think you don't. We've successfully reduced murder in many ways, but one of the primary ways I think is by humanizing murderers and understanding what leads to murder, and that realizing that and this is something that other conservatives may push back on because they don't like how far this narrative has gone, but in terms of material circumstances and how they relate to crime, and how feeling like there are ways out of your situation probably lead to you being less likely to kill somebody to get out of your situation. Even the first thing you assumed about this murder, which was that he must have got denied or maybe a family member died and he shot him, that's kind of a humanizing perspective, and it could help us reduce the number of these kinds of incidents that happen, and realize that we can protect even the heads of these companies better by regulating them better.
Yeah. No, I get your argument that like the monsters are like human, right? Like in like the purest sense of the term, right? However, like this is the problem I have with that is that they're still monsters, right? Like the idea that like next you're gonna have someone going, oh well, maybe if Hitler hadn't been denied in the art school, he wouldn't have turned into this genocidal mania, or maybe Stalin wouldn't. Like sometimes there are people that are just bad people, and they are like you should dehumanize them. And I hate to break it to you, like just because you have an excuse to do these things doesn't mean you should or like will or have a right to. And I feel like dehumanizing these people to make them like where they're just worthless and they're just gone, I think is a better option than sitting here trying to understand them a lot of times. Like, why are we going to sit here trying to understand Jeffrey
When I'm
Dahmer
talking about the
30
dehumanization
people?
In this context, I'm talking about the dehumanization of the CEO specifically.
Yeah, sure.
Right, I understand that.
Not the
But
murder.
I think if we can fix the problem of dehumanizing a murderer, though, it makes it a lot easier to fix the problem of dehumanizing the CEO.
You would think, but
yeah. Fair enough.
Well, but right, like
people were more sympathetic to the murderer. People were more like for Laken Riley. People were more sympathetic to a guy that's convicted. Was it? Trende Agua's a murderer, and then they're okay, but they're with dehumanizing her because she.
Well, we can recognize that her death was overtly politicized, though. Like this was a clean-cut case of murder. It was tried as such, but then it turned into this deeper narrative about the failures of the Biden administration. When in reality, at the end of the day, a woman was killed in broad daylight
by a member of Trende Agua. For the record.
And you have evidence to prove that?
Yeah, they've already proven it.
Let me read some super chats.
Again, I don't care.
I
don't care about the sources, by the way. It's just
yeah.
A weird thing to say.
Let me read a couple super chats. Make a little money today, gang. If you want to give me money, I would appreciate it. I like money. Okay. 2024 Gay Odyssey for $2. Wick boxers, briefs, or commandos. Handsome devil. You know what? Guess. I'll make a poll in chat. We got to leave some mystery between us.
Thong.
Okay.
All adult men wear boxer briefs.
It's a thong.
TL 1524 for $5 says that was me. The Young Turks guest host was basically saying it's sad he died, but he denies a lot of claims, and we need universal health care, so this doesn't happen. Thank you for the $5. Thank you for the clarification. $2 from Zephyr Hash. I'm the biggest problem in Wix community. Slur. Right? Is what he says. So thank you for the $2. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's there again, it's this power, no power dynamic that a lot of people like to kind of place on things. Like, look at this CEO, look at how good he has it, look at how much power he has it, look at the harm he's doing. And I'm not saying any of that's wrong. None of it is wrong. I'll just grant that his decisions has led to harm, has led to people being denied coverage, which has led to them, in some cases, dying. I will grant you that. But he still does not deserve to be gunned down in the street. He deserves to have the same protections that you or I would if we are accused, or even if we do bad things. He deserves process. Like, I would give the devil himself the protection of the law, right?
Oh my goodness! All right.
Gibbs doesn't agree with that.
Okay, you
Dehumanize
might
him, right?
not, but I'd
Dehumanize
give
the devil.
This is a quote, okay? I'd give the devil himself.
Devil's not a
protection of the
human,
law,
though.
because
I want to.
oh my God! Can you guys just not like?
No.
Well, the devil's
Let
not
him
even
cook.
engage
Let him
with
cook.
the
Let him
quote,
cook.
okay?
Let him
Yeah,
cook
yeah,
the
yeah.
crazy take.
I would give the
Let him
devil
cook the
himself
crazy take.
protection of the law because it keeps me safe.
Yeah,
How?
and that's
Right, but how?
Sure, because if we have a system which grants someone even obviously guilty, obviously bad, obviously evil as the devil himself protections, that means it's much more likely that they're going to take away my protections.
Why is the devil evil?
In the context of the quote, which was done in the 1800s, okay, the
Okay.
devil was seen as the personification of evil.
But
Don't
why?
debate, bro. Him. Just let Wick
I'm
win.
not even debate. I'm not even debate broing. Like this like
right. Yeah.
there's this weird like there's this weird presumption of evil that even when you push the quote, it can't be substantiated. So like, what's the devil outside of just being a
No,
name?
it
You know what? I
relies
agree with
on-
Joe. There's nothing is evil. Morals don't exist. I agree.
The devil
No,
is-
no, I
How
think
does
like,
it fit
Hold
in?
on. The devil is seen in Christian mythology
No.
as inherently evil, the personification of evil as
right,
Christians
and then
understand
who
it.
proves that? Like, how do we prove that the devil is evil? Like, what do we
because he
use for that?
commits because he performs various acts to get others to commit to sin.
And how do we know about these acts?
Because they're recorded in the Bible. I don't know. They're written.
Yeah,
down.
then how do we know that the Bible is correct in its perception of the devil?
We're adhering to some substantiation that these stories, since they were recorded, that there's some truth to them.
Yeah, the
Well,
the Bible uses itself to prove that the devil is evil. And my concern is like that doesn't, for me, that's faulty. It's faulty logic.
Boosted,
faulty
hold on.
logic of
Boosted
perceiving
Avian
evil.
in my chat has said something, and I want to address it. Boosted
Sure.
Avian says, and he's quoting me, or he's trying to pretend I said this. He says, I know this guy is responsible for the deaths of millions yearly, but he deserves more protection than you and me. So one, I doubt, and I could be wrong maybe, but I 100% doubt he's responsible for the death of millions yearly. I
Who?
just don't. The United CEO guy, United Healthcare CEO. I don't think
I
he's
think it.
responsible for
Oh, go for it.
millions of deaths a year. I just don't.
I think it's irresponsible to suggest like United Healthcare is one of the largest healthcare corporations. Period. And a lot of people are responsible are dead because of them. That's why
a
they
lot of
settle
people are
lawsuits.
alive because of him too.
Yeah,
So,
well,
like-
that's
Yeah.
the thing,
hold
right?
on,
You
but
have
hold
to
on,
give him credit
that's
for both.
so.
Yeah.
This is maybe something Dilemma kind of touched on, but I like.
But hold on, and also,
no,
no, stop, because I'm not done yet. And the idea that I'm saying that he deserves more protections than you and me is just false. I want him to have
Yeah,
the
no.
same exact protections that you were.
Yeah,
under.
he had the
Well-
same. We all do. Any one of us at any point in time could get murdered today.
But,
like,
but,
and
hold
it
on,
just so happened
I
that
feel
by
like you guys
virtue
just aren't seeing my
of
point.
no, I'm
Moral
like
I
I'm
was
just
memeing.
Well, hold on.
Moral
I want
protection.
so like
Yeah.
Dilemma kind of touched on this, and you're kind of touching on it now, like right. So here's this idea is that there is somewhat of a divide here between the left and the right, and I'm using these terms broadly. I know people hate being lumped into anything like general, but in this case, there is this idea of like entitlement, what people are entitled to, right? Now, on the right, many people think, and I'm not going to say all of them, think that you're entitled to basically what you can accomplish on your own, right? Based on whatever you what's going on in your life. Like, if you come from somewhere, whatever you accomplish, that's on you. The left seems to have this idea that you're entitled to certain things no matter what. They're like inalienable rights. Like, for example, healthcare, right? There's this idea that you are entitled to a doctor's doing this labor on you for free if you're sick. Like just because, hey, okay, I need a heart surgery, this doctor should be forced to do this because I need it. And that's basically what we got going on here, is we're basically have the left arguing for slavery and the right's arguing for individual freedom. And they're saying, hey, since the United Healthcare guy didn't want to condone slavery, he should die. That's what's happening right now. And it's crazy.
So $2 from Mr. Middleman to say vigilantism bypasses due process, and that is bad. And yes, that is true. And this idea
can't even
that,
take what you just
hold
said
on,
seriously.
and the
I don't
idea
care.
that Boosted Avian says what to me, he says, he gets my name wrong, of course. But he says, what? You just did the conservative argument. They're after me. You're just in the way. Holy shit. Is my argument here conservative?
I also
Yes.
don't see how it's connected to the you're after me. But hold on, I want to touch on how I think Joe Lewis kind of makes your point. Because of our practical limitations in proving someone is the devil, Wick's 100% right. We have to just assume that the devil would get the protections under law, because who are we to determine whether someone is the devil? We can't prove
Which was my
it.
point. Yeah.
So yeah, we do have to afford the devil protection under law. And what I think people aren't understanding is that there's a reason for that. And it's not just because the law is the law. It's because the law is downstream from our morals. And that means we should also give people the same moral protection and hold people to the same moral standards equally, the same way we'd hold them to the same legal standards, despite the fact that, oh, we think he did this and this and this, and I don't like him for this, this, and this. I'm still going to evaluate his next action the same way as I would have before. That doesn't mean you forget everything they've ever done in your risk calculation, but in terms of moral value of their life and things like that, like in terms of the CEO, you got to evaluate them the same way as you're going to evaluate anybody else.
For the plebs in chat, and for the plebs on here, perhaps, this is a quote from A Man for All Seasons, and it was by Sir Thomas More. This is classic literature shit, okay?
Hell yeah.
I mean, it could still be like
it could be wrong, right? But like this idea that I'm because I quoted this, I'm making a conservative argument because I
sounds like
it is a conservative argument.
The 1800s, my friend.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's like-
understand why.
like-
I understand why you would
sorry.
challenge it, Joe. You would challenge it because you want to make sure that we actually understand what like a definition of evil is.
Well,
we're not just saying something's evil for being evil.
Like my thing for a while has been one of the problems I see in American society and how like things are kind of structured is that we don't really have this normative ground towards things, because like our laws are designed to be a way to be impartial. They're designed a way to be like neutral, when in reality that's not the case. Like these laws that we're under have a skew, they have a bias, and it doesn't want to properly engage with the sort of contradictions that exist within that. For example, like you shared a thing from what happened in my state concerning that one lawyer who got removed from a council meeting. And
oh yeah, for waving the little flag and stuff.
Yeah. And the argument of that, the reason why he was removed is because in the context of his speech, his flag was interpreted as a prop, and props are forbidden. And then like the council president and the mayor did some weird backpedaling in basically arguing that the flag is never a prop. And I'm like, there's absolutely multiple scenarios where in context the flag can be a prop. So what are we talking about? And if the flag is just the flag, the symbol that is America, not America itself, if the flag is so significant that it is higher than that as a prop, then what is the American flag then? Like what are we basing? Like the flag is apparently so significant that even if we wave it in a performative manner, it's not a prop. Then what do we call that?
Well, I'm not a look. I retweeted this from the fire.org, which is an organization I trust. The argument here was it infringed on his speech rights. I don't know I can't give you the argument that fire.org would make because I haven't looked at the argument. I simply
this is
retweeted
another
it on
problem.
Twitter.
Well, the article said that the definition of a prop was unclear, and then that's funny to me. It's like, oh, so now we need to clearly define what a prop is, so that then we can set everything because once we set what a prop is, then that's going to be unchanged, right?
Well,
then,
so what you're speaking to right now is speaking to a bigger issue, I think, and like this could actually be
Oh.
applied across like Twitch poll, really, and really how we talk about things in general. And like I hate, like, one of the things I hate about Twitch polls sometimes is when we got lost in these massive, like, sky high meta debates. Now sometimes you can have a meta debate about like I guess what we're talking about is a prop this under this circumstances, whatever. Like, and we get lost in the weeds, and we get so far lost into arguing about like the devil being in the details, which it can be important, that we can't actually have a conversation because we're so busy arguing about John Locke's second trustees, line 36, whatever, what it means, as opposed to arguing about an issue
Let's just
with
be clear.
applicable things.
Who here thinks it was good or okay that the CEO, and Boosted Avian, I'm looking at you. Who here thinks it was good or okay or should be celebrated or was even neutral that CEO got gunned down in the streets? Raise your hand. Put a ones in chat. Okay, I want to hear. I want to see. Anyone?
I guess I'm neutral.
Okay, because Boosted Avian specifically, you're making me mad here. Okay, I might chimp out at you a little bit. But
wait,
like
who
this,
is this?
Oh, so, bye.
YouTube chatter.
I'm guessing a
okay?
YouTube chatter, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Bye, Gibbs. But yeah, so we got one. Matt and Zero thinks it was good. Matt and Zero, would you like to come on and make that argument to me? I will hear you out.
Wait, Matt and Zero? Who are these?
I don't know. They're
Like YouTube
chatters, bro.
YouTube, fix your names, man. Just go with your governments. Like
Bobby
Jamie
okay.
Nyman.
Anyone who's
Jesus
saying one,
Christ.
if you would be so kind as to jump backstage, I will pull you in and we can have the conversation. I would love to hear your reasoning why it's okay that someone went, got a gun in the middle of the day, or not the middle of the day, in the morning, early morning, it was like 6 a.m. or whatever, goes out and shoots this guy.
Dawn.
Yeah. Shoots
A mile
this guy
away from Times
dead,
Square.
right? Shoots this guy dead.
Really?
And you can
Jesus.
explain why it's okay.
Well,
I can kind of formulate the arguments they're going to make before they even get
I have
here. They're gonna talk
no
about-
idea what the argument
We'll
is.
see,
either.
we'll see what I'm not even going to try to prime the pump
Formulate
here.
an argument
I want to
without
hear
a-
their
It's gonna be
argument, right?
It's gonna be a harm reduction argument, right? Like it's better over. Yeah.
Like I said, recreational utilitarianism.
I mean,
Yeah,
like,
there you
but
go.
again, like
no one's going to live who wouldn't have otherwise lived because this guy died. No one.
Like
Not a
the-
single fucking soul.
Yeah, the
Like
machine's
the,
still
um,
running.
And in fact, no, even if the machine stopped running, more people would die because he saves and treats more people with his health insurance than kills them. Even if he was the ultimate stamper of every approval and denial, they approve countless like life-saving procedures every year, more than life-saving procedures that they deny. Most of the
But he's
time,
not though.
Valid
That's the
point.
adjuster or whatever that does that.
exactly, yeah. So either, and that's the thing that really makes it stupid to wish death upon him, is this dude is essentially like looking at P&Ls. Like this dude is just trying to make the company money. He's not
Yeah.
even worried about the approvals and denial part.
But the
I
counter,
mean,
the
a lot of
counter
leftists don't know
argument-
how corporate structures work. Anyway.
The counter argument that's going to come at you when you make that argument, and no matter how factual it is that, well, that only works for people who can actually pay into the system to get the care that actually saves their lives.
Well, yeah,
So-
but then McDonald's only serves people who buy their food. But at the end of the day,
Yeah, exactly. It's
that's
shit
all they have
argument.
the ability to do, you know? And McDonald's probably kills some people too, but they make me pretty happy, so I support them.
I understand you're
I
busy.
guess-
Maybe
I guess
another
wait
time,
tomorrow,
Bobby
I'd buy
Johnson.
it.
What about you, Matt and Zero? What about you, Boosted Avian? What about you guys? Are you
I
guys
think we
not?
should muddy the waters a little bit. Let's pretend that like the guy who killed him was someone like his grandmother got denied health insurance from this company.
Again,
and she-
does his
Yeah, I
grandmother
mean,
come back?
I'll gladly engage with that. That's a fun conversation.
yeah, I feel like it's a better one because one, it has a little bit more justification if you find out she was denied.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. No,
Yeah,
it
it doesn't.
doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
I
But
think-
not
I think it
justification's the
humanizes-
wrong word.
I think it humanizes him,
Okay, justifies not the
but
right word. Yeah.
I don't think it justifies it morally.
Well, I think that okay. So I mean, I've had this. I'm gonna air this plane again. I love this plane. I don't think American pragmatism is designed for collaboration and negotiation. I think American pragmatism presupposes that we glass our enemies. And if you believe that Brian Thompson is the enemy based on the wrongs that you do. Our pragmatism doesn't say to try to engage with him, to talk to him with a dialogue. No, the pragmatism is to glass him off the face of the earth and be gleeful and happy when he dies. I
But
think
our
that's
pragmatism
why.
also demands that you develop some level of just cause before you take
Right.
action, right? That's the
Right,
other half.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so if just because you think he's the problem doesn't mean you get to kill him, you then have to go through an arduous process of proving that he materially killed your grandma, basically, before you can be considered to have moral justification to do anything to him.
Well, there's a portion of that. My thing when I use this argument is that, like, it doesn't surprise me that Donald Trump his life was threatened upon him multiple times. That should be like, that's the most American thing that can happen in this country. Like, we're a country that says, like, hey, if we don't like this guy in the Middle East, we'll just extrajudicially glass his ass and then give the people who did it medals. Like, we don't do this. Like, what's a ceasefire negotiation if all the Hamas leaders are dead? Don't have to ceasefire anymore. Like, we as Americans, we presuppose in a lot of ways that, like, the only way to actually negotiate with our enemies is to kill them outright or inflict some type of harm that pushes them to move in a particular manner. I don't agree with that by any stretch of the imagination. But I do see a lot of people who are like, the conditions that America creates, like, leads people down that path where it's like, oh, these kids in my school are bullying me, my teachers are calling me a failure, my home conditions are disgusting.
It's just revenge. It's just a revenge shit. It's just revenge fantasy.
But I mean,
That's
that
it.
mentality goes all the way back to the founding of the country.
No, that goes
doesn't it?
even
Right.
further than that, right? Like the concept of they did it to me, so I could do it to them is as old as fucking Cain and Abel,
Yep.
right? Like,
Right, but our institutions reinforce this idea of, like, the only way that you can get people to bend to your will is to push them to a way where their conditions are at the absolute edge. And then maybe if they're at the absolute edge on their last breath, maybe they will bend to your will, however you see fit.
I see what you're saying, Joe, but I feel like that's just human nature
what
in
is,
general. I'm not sure
what
that's just
is
uniquely
Twitch
American.
doing here? It's giving me this weird pop-up I've never seen before. Hold on.
What does it say?
Says chat seems active. Consider clipping this
No,
moment.
clipping. Yeah, I
for
saw
Wiki.
that in
I've
my
never
chat,
seen
too.
this before. And my chat
They're
gets pretty
trying to
active.
promote
Is this new?
creators are not clipping their own content, obviously, for obvious reasons. So they're trying to promote, like, streamers to be more active in capturing their moments or telling chat to capture their moments.
So they could use it for advertiser base, right?
Yep.
Speaking of clips, Audacity, you made some fire clips of yesterday's content.
I had
and
a lot of fun last
appreciate-
night, man.
I appreciate your efforts there, so thank you, sir. I do.
Love
And
I-
my point, by the way, Wick, is that I just understand, like, the same thing that I said about, like, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble for this, by stir upon in different ways. Like, I don't condemn Hamas. Like, condemning Hamas is the laziest thing that you can do in your
my
analysis.
God.
Where it's like,
I'm not taking the bait. Nope, not gonna do it. But keep going. Keep
I mean,
going,
you can take
yeah.
the bait more you like, but
I'll take the bait.
But the thing is that the minute we start getting into this, even to your argument about this shooter, like, the more we get into this sort of, like, condemnation game, it doesn't mean anything if you don't have any sort of backing or ground as to why you're condemning it in the first place and what actions you're willing to do in the face of that condemnation. Where it's like, I don't like this person, so I denounce what they do, but I'll still invite them on as a guest to my show. Then what are you condemning? like what are we condemning?
What does
I
not
condemn the
having him
actions-
on hurt him?
What's that?
Like, what does it do to solve the issue, or what does it do to punish or hold the person accountable? It doesn't do anything, right? Me not
I
having.
think
Neither
it
does
does.
condemning.
Hold on.
Neither does condemning.
I disagree. I think it does. It hurts certain content creators if, like, they lose their audience. It definitely hurts them to not, like, to be,
Okay,
not
but
allowed on.
Sure, right? But in the context of me not having them on, I don't think it does.
Oh yeah, well yeah, for you, but I
What do
mean,
you
like,
mean?
So,
Like,
for example,
I mean, you
let's
guys are
let's
able to
not even
use-
talk around it. Destiny, right?
sure.
I don't like what he did. I condemn what he did. I thought what he
You
did was
benefit
wrong.
from Destiny's audience and him watching you. So
If
you
I-
make the calculus that he can do all of these things, but it's still worth it for me to bring him on because he brings me monetary gains, he brings me eyes, and brings me more people that can watch my content long term.
Yeah.
And
I saved you 5
also-
minutes.
and
I saved
And
the
I
time,
don't,
friend.
and I don't think that's immoral, by the way. Even as probably the person who thinks Destiny has the most moral culpability that he needs to deal with, probably in this call, I don't think you're wrong at all for still having him on. I don't think he's done anything worth like blacklisting him forever. I just think he should probably see himself as having a higher level of responsibility than he currently seems
Yeah.
to think he
Yeah,
does.
that's on him. And I
Exactly,
have people all
100%.
the time on my show that I condemn vociferously. I had a Nazi on my show, right?
Yeah.
I've had Proud Boys on my show. I've had
Well, and
people.
Destiny
I have-
wasn't praising,
Wait,
revenge
would you have
porn or
Fuentes?
blasting drama. He was talking about something else.
Fuentes and I have been on a call. It wasn't my show. It was Stardust. But yeah, there's clips.
Well,
of,
I
I
think-
mean, let me
well,
let me give
Wick-
it to you like this though. If Wick had never had Destiny on, or vice versa, I never would have discovered Wick. Left Destiny, and came to
Exactly.
Wick's community.
Well, that's the thing where it's like the condemnation and lines in the environment that Twitch is and like YouTube, it only punishes people of Wick size, people who are smaller creators. Because if you are in the good graces of a large content creator, then you will passively benefit from the audience that you might be able to see through proximity of their content.
Would
Like,
you have
a
a
lot of-
terrorist leader on your show, Wick?
I've had. Yes, I would.
So you would have like Anya Sinwar.
But again, but
He's
the thing
dead
is,
now,
like, of
so it'd
course,
be
Wick,
hard,
of course, Wick
right?
is
yeah,
playing
but like
to it.
someone like him, like a Houthi
Yes,
leader.
I would.
The Houthi pirates coming on next week.
I would.
I think you
would
should.
talk to
If-
someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah, if Wick had the opportunity to talk to that Houthi pirate kid, I would tell him to do it. I would say, because you'll actually come on, you'll actually be like, I don't like what you're doing, this, and this. And I think
Yeah.
that's important. But that is a pretty conservative point of view in terms of not
Mhm.
deplatforming, but marketplace of ideas. And
So there's no one you wouldn't have. Like, what would they have to do?
There are people who I personally just can't stand enough, like that they've, like that. I
Such
have a
as
Wick, would you
I
have
won't have
Hitler?
President Sunday on anymore,
on
and
your
it's not
show?
because he's worse than any of these people. He's not,
okay.
but it's just a personal
reasons.
disgust. Yes.
Disgust is a powerful word, but
Well, it's powerful enough that I don't have him on anymore. Yes, that's true. But like again, he's not. I'm not here saying he's worse than any of these people. He's not. He's just not. It's just he has personally crossed some lines with me, not with the universe, right? That I'm just like, okay, no.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
I mean, Hitler's kids are still alive, or his grandchildren, whatever great grandchildren are alive.
Yeah, they
So, I
live in
mean,
Argentina.
yeah.
I am like, I understand, like, for me, right? Because I was like objectively the largest creator in this whole circle of like people who are navigating. I'm the only one amongst any of these fucking losers with a partner badge. Like, I was generating what, like 200 concurrent viewers on Twitch post the boom. But what I realized very quickly is that, you know, you're still small fry, and there's still a symbiotic relationship that you have with these larger creators, because you recognize that that's what's going to drive newer eyes to your stuff. There's a ceiling that clearly exists. And then the question is, in the face of that ceiling, what do? Do you pull back and recognize that I don't want to be in this symbiotic relationship with creators and just do my own thing? Or do you dig into it? Like, we have multiple people who digged into this, like, this faux hierarchy and stream parasocial club. Look no further than the not so erudites, Pisco's, Pondering Politics. There's a reason why Pisco is in your stream, like in your lobby at 2-3 in the morning, despite the fact that he's never in your Discord ever, unless it's for being in proximity with Destiny. This is the same problem.
No,
that
to
happened
give
during
Pisco his due, he's been on my show without Destiny before.
Right,
I've
but he's also
specifically
been
invited him to, and he's come on.
he's
and
also
he's
like, it's very clear that he's an orbiter. Like, there's
well,
no
yeah,
like
that is just true.
and
And
there's benefits.
I think he
there's
admits
benefits
that,
to
though.
that.
One of the
Right.
things that
Tries
I've
to
tried
admit
to do is while I do have a working relationship with Destiny, and I think what he's done is condemnable, but I can't help but like the guy. I just can't help but like the guy. I've known people like him. I don't know. It's just one of those things, right?
Yeah, but again,
let
like,
me finish. Let me
that's
finish.
the-
I haven't got to my
sure.
point. I haven't got to my point.
You
okay?
got
I
it.
haven't got to my point. Okay. But I don't want to be a Destiny orbiter. I want to be a guy who Destiny comes on sometimes, right? And we have a talk, and we disagree, and we fight sometimes, right? Or we agree sometimes. But I don't want to be an orbiter. And I understand that some people see me as an orbiter, but I've tried very hard to kind of do my own thing. Does that make sense?
Well, the question is like, what exactly constitutes being a member of a community, right? Like people for the longest time associated me as a Vosh orbiter, despite the fact that he and I never got into direct contact with each other outside of a couple things here and there. And then that sort of like the flashpoint was when Hans of Arkir and I had that like tit for tat, and Vosh moderated that. And not for nothing, he's not a bad moderator. That's a sidebar. But I think that like maybe you can answer this. Like, what do you think delineates between somebody who just happens to have a working relationship with a content creator
Intensity and
versus
frequency.
somebody? What's that?
Intensity and frequency. So how often how often is someone jumping on the stream of another person, and how intense is the parasocial relationship there? I think I can't give you a specific line, but there's a line where it crosses into, okay, now you're an orbiter.
Well, maybe not lines. Like, okay, so what makes Pisco an orbiter, but Stardust not?
Because the amount of times that Destiny or that Pisco has jumped onto Destiny or Destiny related streams is far and above the number that Stardust does.
Wasn't Vosh originally a Destiny orbiter?
He was
Yep.
an Irish laddie.
Irish laddie.
And it was
Yeah,
like, I don't even know if he was a content creator really that much at that point. I think he was more of just like a hardcore community member of Destiny's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
I think that they're
that
I think
ties
it's-
into a point I want to make. Go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say I want to preface this before you're saying it, where it's like I think one of the reasons why Destiny is being brought up here is because he's the closest thing that we have to somebody who engages with broader communities, generally speaking. So I think he makes himself a very easy target in that regard. But keep going.
Yeah, the point I want to make is the reason why you have this celebration. You see so many of these communities with celebrators in them for situations like the CEO incident. You're coming across people who are engaging. I don't want to say clout forming; it's such a cop out phrase, but they are engaging in a communal behavior to try and gain popularity with those communities so that they could be recognized as somebody that
Signal
is-
like I'm so X that I'm willing to dance on this person's
exactly
grave.
like I'm a
right?
party member. I am an apparatchik for the team here. Like it.
I'm
and
willing
they're-
to
and-
engage in. Hold on, I'm willing to engage in a behavior that would isolate that other communities find disgusting, and it would
Mhm.
hurt my standing in those other communities to signal that I'm all in on this community.
Exactly. Yeah, this is my home turf. I want to be, and it's just a popularity contest. I want to be popular amongst this community. I want Hassan to see me cheering for the death of a CEO so that he'll have me on his show, and then I'll get my boost and everything. That's the Irish laddie thing with Vosh. He was a hardcore community member. He was big on talking all that stuff. He would eventually use the popularity gains in the community to jump off to a point. This is an observable trend that people can execute, whether it's conscious or subconsciously happening. That's why you continue to see these celebrations, despite how disgusting.
Or
all these
better,
actions are.
yet, like you can have situations where I mean, say what you want about our boy Michael from PA, but like people only knew of him. He was Mike from PA because of the Majority Report. And he then, through a lot of mechanisms, made his own thing. I guess the
Well,
thing
that's
that
a good question,
yeah.
actually, on orbiting.
I'm
Is
ready.
he his own thing?
Yeah, he's more of a Hassan orbit, I would say. He's
Yeah, I'd say he's a
Hassan
Hassan orbiter for sure, bro.
Like,
well,
I don't
he
see
literally
him as,
titles
like,
his
I don't.
streams
Maybe
Hassan
I'm wrong.
Waiter.
I'm open to being wrong on this. I'm open to being dead wrong on this. But my perception is, if Hassan went away, he'd go away too. Like his
Yeah, he would.
his fortunes are tied to Hassan in such a way, in that they rise and fall together.
From what I've heard, he's stuck in Casey Tron's orbit.
I
Okay.
don't necessarily think that's the case. I think
they
it's
both
really
have their own
Again, I could be wrong on this.
Yeah.
I don't. I confess to ignorance on the interplay, right? But this is just my
Well, I
impression.
mean, there's like take the situation with God, I just forgot their names, with like Denims, Frogan, and Capri Sun Poppy, right? Where they are not necessarily orbiters of Hassan.
Yeah,
They're just
I
people
wouldn't say
who,
Denim specifically is
yeah,
connected to Hassan. I
they're
think
just people
if
who,
Hassan went away, Denims would still have her thing.
oh yeah, she still have thousands of viewers.
Yeah.
The thing that I guess is kind of maybe confusing for people is that while it is true that there are communities that are very friendly with each other, they work and collaborate with each other, but these are still very divided communities. Like, I'm in sort of like streamer graces with all of these people, Destiny included, but none of, like, I don't actively pursue any of these sort of connections that I built over the past 4 to 5 years. They're just kind of there. Like, I'm still a VIP in Denim's chat. I was a VIP in Rob Nor's chat for a little bit, and that confused the shit out of people. Where but it's like it just so happened to, like, I'm in decent graces with like CTV. I'm in decent graces with a decent amount of conservatives in the space.
You
But I'm
can be
also
I'll let you finish, but I have another
Yeah.
thought. Go ahead.
yeah, but I'm also in decent community with a lot of people that the communities at large would find like irreprehensible. Like, I still am somebody who is a community with the Black creators that this space outed out of existence. Like, I still have fond feelings and fond opinions about Quarantine, Resistance Noir, K Swifty, and the like, despite the fact that these are deeply disliked people historically. But I think something that you do, Lick,
Okay.
which I kind of appreciate, is I can tell, well, the monetary for you is nice. You, I think, are generally aware of the balancing act between monetizable content just for the sake of monetization and content that's trying to drive further perspectives and understandings of people watching. I think some part of your brain is fighting with that duality.
There's
Which is interesting
a
to watch.
tension. There is a tension there between, look, I could be, and I said this at the beginning of the stream, right? That there's a reason that Josiahs of the world are always going to make more money than I am, is because their content provides a permission structure for people to engage in things that they want to do, beliefs that they want to believe, thoughts that they want to think, actions they want to take. It creates a permission structure which makes it okay, which justifies, which allows my content in many cases. And I'm going to
wait,
be
who's
uncharitable.
Josiah?
Josiah, pondering politics.
Pondering
Yeah.
politics.
And
His name is Josiah? Nigga sounds like a fucking Starbucks barista.
oh,
I
I
was
love
gonna say,
look, and I talk a lot of
Josiah.
I want to make it clear. I talk a lot of shit about Josiah, but I like Josiah. I'm friends with Josiah. We
Yeah,
talk
he's a nice dude.
outside of
Josiah,
stream.
bro.
But I think
No, yeah, every
again,
time I've
this
talked
is,
to him behind the scenes, he's been a very nice guy. But yeah, they're all those
I
guys.
thought
have
his
been
name
fucking
was
deranged since like
yeah.
3 months before the
But-
election.
but the
They've
point-
just gone full
but the
psycho.
point, right? Like that kind of content is always going to make more money than mine. And the kind of content I do is, I tell people no, basically. I'm a scold, if you will. I say, it's not okay for you to feel this way. It's not okay for you to do this thing. It's not okay for you to have this kind of reaction and things like that. That's not okay to indulge in these baser instincts. We could look at the topic of today's show, even though we're talking about 100 different things other than it. It's all kind of sort of related, but you know what I mean? Like this idea that there are people celebrating the CEO's death, and I'm telling people that's bad. You shouldn't do that. And I do that a lot, and I recognize I do that a lot, right? But I think it's important. People need to hear no, but they don't like to hear no. So it's never going to make as much money. It's just not.
Well, I think
Yeah.
also, for what it's worth, as the one of the last left-leaning individuals that can construct coherent sentences in your space, I will say that no, I love you, Artemis Fowl, but goddamn, brother. But I will say
Is he
that
even left leaning?
I have no idea at this point. But
I don't think so.
but anyway, like, I would say that something by virtue of existence of some different ideological perspectives. And while I've not been on your main panel things in a bit, because of kind of how specialized I argue, I think like my existence, Jeb's, a couple others whose names I'm not thinking of right now, allows for your community to, although it is right wing, like it's a clear tinge to the right when it comes to like chatters and stuff like that. Because of how you like formulate and structure things, you don't create too drastic of the echo chambers. And there's been multiple times where, because your chat is generally more right wing, that they push back on what you say. That not only from the matter as a guest, or for you, it's just a guest on the panel, but as a moderator. And I think that that's
Gates is a good
something that
example. A lot of my audience hated my Gates takes and pushed back hard, and they probably still hate my Gates takes.
What
but I
were
was
your
just
Gates
correct.
takes?
I,
What were your
Gates is unfit. He was not. It was not okay. Like I don't know
what was
if
I
he
for
did
this?
the things he was accused of,
I
but
mean,
the fact
anybody
that
who disagreed with that in your chat is fucking ridiculous.
Well, there was a ton.
So clearly
A
unfit.
ton.
Oh my
A
god.
ton.
Yeah, he's
I
unfit.
supported the Gates pick, but you guys didn't invite me on, so now we'll never know.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
but I don't want.
Why
I don't want
did
to
you
get bogged down into that specific. But,
I
but
did.
my
I
point
unironically
here,
supported the Gates selection,
sure.
but again, like I was excited because he was going to fire a lot of fucking people. Like, so like if you were working in the DOJ for more than 10 years, your job was fucked. But like maybe if you're like first or second weekend, you'll probably dodge the Gates bullet,
But
or a minor.
But
You'll probably
again,
dodge
I don't
that
want to.
too,
I don't want to get
but-
bogged down on the details here, right? Like, but the whole point is like, I want a community that will say you're fucking stupid on that wick, right? I 100% disagree with you. I think you're wrong, and I want a community that's willing to do that and feels that they can do that without being jumped on, torn apart by wolves and jackals. And I try, and I'm not perfect at it, but I try. And a lot of people are saying, "Who's Brian Taylor Cohen?" I didn't look. I confess, I didn't know until yesterday, or until today, I should say, who Brian Taylor Cohen was. But apparently, he watched all 6 hours, 8 hours of yesterday's stream. So
why would he do that to himself?
Well, because Destiny was on.
probably.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
no.
a mainstream kind of
No,
like
I looked
media
into it.
figure.
He's got like millions
Yeah.
of subs. He's a big dude, right?
Yeah.
But
What was
I
his
didn't
What was his
know.
take? What was his take? I'm curious.
He didn't
now.
really give any takes. He was just saying, "Wow, this is crazy."
Crazy what?
The only
Crazy
reason
what?
he tuned
He
in
didn't. He
was
didn't. He didn't.
Yeah, he's starting a new media company, and I think he wants Destiny to join. That's why.
Who
Yeah.
is?
Brian Taylor.
Brian Tyler Cohen.
Tyler.
He's like a-
Oh, gotcha.
BTC, baby.
Bro, I
He's
don't
like
know
a
how
member
anybody
somebody- yeah.
wants to be professional. I get it from like a content perspective. If you're like just like a Twitch streamer, obviously it can be advantageous. Anybody trying to make like a legitimate organization that invites Destiny in, it baffles me as a business decision, in my opinion.
I mean,
think it's-
they're trying to
It's-
build the counter Joe Rogan stuff at this point. They understand.
Oh, so he's
how-
trying to, but that's not sustainable because this motherfucker's broke. Like Brian Taylor Cohen, I respectfully is just another broke dude, and he's gonna know how broke he is when he actually has to go up against media corporations.
Also, the real issue is with the left not having a Joe Rogan or whatever. It has nothing to do with trying. Like there are left wing
Yeah.
trying to make podcasts all the time. The issue is the left is intolerant of people like Joe Rogan. They're intolerant of people who kind of step out of line or people who say the wrong thing. They go at their fucking throats for like rhetoric. Like
Sure.
Republicans, we definitely have a problem of purity testing in terms of like actions or not supporting the right thing. But when it comes to rhetoric, we're remarkably forgiving. Like Tulsi Gabbard, the universal healthcare Democrat lady, is someone that Republicans are currently celebrating as a pick for the director of national intelligence. Like rhetorically, we are just more forgiving, and so we're gonna get the people like Joe Rogan because you can't talk for 4 hours multiple times a week and not get burned at the stake for something in the left. Like you just can't do it.
Well,
I agree with you
something-
on that one.
Something to this as well.
They need to be less boy.
Yeah.
There's just like, look, if you're trying to build some like Joe Rogan of the left, then you're kind of just just dead on arrival. Like, do you hear Joe Rogan talking about his Patreon? Like, this is supported by people power. Be sure
Yeah.
to go to the this nigga got sponsors. This
Yeah.
nigga has big fucking money,
Well,
and
and he's
he will
got 3
gladly.
jobs too. He's like,
Yeah,
he does the podcast, he does the UFC commentating for fun, essentially, and then he also is an extraordinarily
yeah,
successful stand-up
and he will.
monetarily.
And not for nothing, like what liberals and progressives do, because let's just be honest, like the left does not exist in America of any substantive value. It's been suppressed to the point where you can't even get the people voting for the Green Party in substantive numbers.
Mhm.
And then, but I say that to say, like, they're just broke.
Based.
There's no
But go on.
organization. There's no organization that does not end up you being a democratic simp, because that's what it is. That's really the game. It's like, how independent do you want to be until you realize the bills have to be paid, and the only way for you to be sustainable is to get absorbed. That's what happened to everybody on the right.
Just
From
FYI to my
Jordan-
audience,
yeah.
this is a call-in show. So if you're out there saying, when are we going to talk about X? Why do we want to talk about X? Jump backstage. I will pull you in.
Like,
Yep.
like for fuck's sake, look at everybody. Like Charlie Kirk runs Turning Point USA. They get millions of dollars in revenue every year. There's no Patreon system. It's not funded by people power. The Daily Wire isn't funded by people power. They took the most powerful individuals in the alternative space and made an alternative supergiant. An alternative supergiant that, make no mistake, if you, like Candace Owens learned the hard way, that if you are out of the line in any substantive manner, we will just let you go. Like, there's no there's no alternative to that, where
Yeah,
it's like,
and well,
and
and being
now,
honest about it too. Like the Daily Wire is honest. They're like, listen, we're a conservative, pro-Israel organization, and that's the stuff we spout. And she's doing JQ shit. We don't want that here. You're out. Whereas like a lot of people like Destiny, they'll be like, oh, I'm tolerant of this, and this opinion, and I'll have anyone on my show to debate stuff. But then he'll
Mhm.
blacklist people for having like a moderately negative opinion of something he did personally, or
No,
yada
he
yada yada.
blacklists people
Let's be
who lie to
okay.
him.
Destiny,
It's
I've
more.
looked at
It's
that
not the opinion.
blacklist. That's not
It's
very
people who lie
large.
to him.
Sure,
Yeah.
maybe not. Yeah, maybe not the blacklist specifically, but like he'll ban people from his Reddit for
Oh, sure.
simply,
okay.
or he'll allow because he always throws his fucking hands up. He'll allow bans in his Reddit for people just being like, I used to be a Destiny fan, but he's getting pretty deranged lately. Like that, saying that phrase gets you banned in his Reddit. Pretty
Yeah.
much
Okay. Well, that's when he's like emotionally triggered. I've seen those moments where
Sure.
and like,
he
and the
probably
only
should.
way,
That's still, of course,
like,
but yeah, doesn't
like
change.
one of the
that-
things, yeah, like the thing that's going to change, if you want to be big, like if there's going to be a larger, we'll say progressive or liberal content creator that takes a stab at the CNNs, MSNBCs of the world, you're just going to get absorbed by them. And it's eventual. It's not even like, it's not even a matter of
I kind
if,
of
it's
disagree
just
with you on
when.
that. Have you seen MSNBC's like revenue stream? Like they're getting off Comcast or whatever. They're gonna be like a side. Like they're losing too many viewers. I think they're actually kind of dead.
They're being
Well,
sold, I think.
Yeah,
They're for
yeah, they're being.
sale right
Yeah,
now.
Elon Musk was joking about buying it or something like
Well,
that.
respectfully, they're all dying. Like what drives all of these platforms are cable subscriptions, like subscriptions to a box where mom and dad sit at home and watch. And that's why Fox News is such a stranglehold for a while. But at the same time, what they're hoping is that there's enough people who will just keep a cable box just to watch them. And for a while, that was a decent bet to hedge. But I think they're slowly learning the hard way that it's just not sustainable.
I mean, they're in the alternative media market too. They have YouTube channels that have like 10 million subscribers. So it's not like
Well,
they
they're
don't
not in
understand
it. They're not in it by choice. Like,
Yeah.
well, rather, let me clarify that. They don't rely exclusively on those platforms to make their money. Like the
Okay.
NFL
Yeah.
doesn't have to put clips
I
up
want to.
of the games. They just do it
kind of.
because
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
kind of bring it back. I know. Look, I'm bad.
I
at
know
this,
that
but
dude that
this
got
is
shot. I
interesting,
know.
Right? This is interesting, and I want to talk
The
about.
problem is there's not enough info about him.
No,
like,
but I will. Well, the question I want to ask, like, is related to it, and I'm just really curious, right? How can we, as a culture, as a society, as a community, get away from what I see what I see as an increasing tolerance of celebration of the pain of others. How do we fix this? How do we reverse the trend? How do we slow it down? If nothing else, at least in our own
I told you
communities?
earlier, I
Bring
don't
back
think it's
good
possible.
times.
I don't think it's possible. I think it's too late. Like I think Pandora's box is out, and you kind of have to just do nuclear rearmament and then wait till nuclear proliferation happens, till both sides realize that it's making things worse. You can't have it the way that you want it to be, where we're all just gonna be jilly dolly. Well, one side is talking about trans people, and then another side is talking about MAGA people, killing them and shooting and laughing at them. It's just not tenable. It won't work.
I think that, like, I mean, I've said this before, maybe here, we're just disorganized as people. We're very quick to be mobilized. Like, mobilization is very, very quick. Look no further than DGG mobilizing those door knocking campaigns. Are any of those people organized now? Where are they? Where are all those people that did those door knocking campaigns? They're fucking at home, jerking off and watching their fucking degenerate ass porn. Like, so we're very quick of mobilizing towards a particular cause or a particular thing, but the strategies and the tactics that broaden one's individual capacity to govern themselves is just severely lacking. And I think you see that lack of self-governance, that lack of wanting to expand your self-governance, not only for yourself, but for others, is lacking. So we see examples of people getting shot in public and we just don't know what to do. Like we freeze, where it's like, okay, I guess I don't know what to do. I guess we got to glorify this guy's death. Yay! One more dead CEO in the face of
Well,
capitalism.
it's easy,
We
right?
can't tackle
It's
tackle
easy.
capitalism.
I mean,
Yeah, we can't tackle capitalism. So I guess the closest thing we can get to is just being like, rest pack watch, rest in peace, bozo. Shouldn't did all those fraud shit in insider tradings. Maybe you would have one less bullet in your chest. Like there's just
The incentive structure is just to be divisive right now. Like I don't think there's anything you can do about it. I don't know how you would change it.
People are going to celebrate whatever small victory they can deem a victory for themselves. I think my corny ass answer for how can we solve it is I believe that everyone in this room who cannot only rationalize why the shooter did what he did, but also seek to condemn their actions was just raised right and is educated and well read enough to say, yeah, I could see why he did it, but it was wrong. And other people, just a majority of people, don't have that level of capability for extrapolation, empathetic response. Like they're just CEO's dead. I hate CEOs because they're rich, and that's as far as their thought process goes.
Well, let's be real. Like, the reason why I think people are upset is because of that disorganization. Like, I didn't want Joe Biden to resign or step down. Like, I wanted the people to decide his fate. I wanted the Democratic populace to go in the face of in the face of all of these things. We're going to decide that we don't want you. And we never got that. Instead, we got
Had a
Kamala
primary.
Harris.
Had a primary.
They
Had a
did
primary.
decide that. They did have a primary, and Biden won.
Hold on. So
No. We had a primary.
I don't think you heard.
Primary.
I don't think you
Okay,
heard what I said.
I want to
so-
make
so I'll say
sure
it
that
again.
this doesn't. Again,
Yeah.
we're going off into these little
we
rabbit
had
holes.
we
of
had a primary,
arguments.
yes, but we didn't have a primary to determine that despite Joe Biden's debate performance, he was still fit for office. We were never given that opportunity to actualize and articulate that. Instead, he stepped down and got replaced. So the American people got snubbed. They got snubbed in the very idea of answering the question for themselves, is Joe Biden actually fit to be our president?
And you want to know what the American people's response to that was?
Donald Trump.
Overwhelming support from the Democratic Party and everyone who was a part of the Democratic Party falling in line behind Kamala Harris.
Right, but that doesn't
Nobody who was
answer
a
the
Democrat
question.
had a problem with that. People like you and people on the right who had a problem with that. And I'm tired of everyone complaining about it and telling me that was the problem.
But think about it this way. I would have rather Brian Thompson to be pushed out by
Joe,
the
you're not
workers
part of the party.
I don't think
Yeah,
you
you
are.
need more than the party loyalists to win an election.
What I was
Okay,
trying to say
so-
here is that, like, I was using Joe Biden as an interlocutor to say the reason why, if you're actually worker conscious, is that I don't want these CEOs getting extrajudicially executed because of their mishappenings and insider trading or what the case may be. I want them to lose their positions because the people determine that to be so. That the pressure and the organization of the workers underneath them is so great that they are forced to resign, that they're forced to be out of their position of power. And the people who are in qualms or reservations with Brian Thompson will never get the opportunity to do that because he got shot. So now he's just going to be replaced with another CEO.
Joe, who
You
would
know?
you replace Brian Thompson with? Who can run a like medical company at medical insurance company at such a level?
Dr. Oz.
Probably Andrew Whitty, if we're being quite honest here. Andrew Whitty, for those of you who have no idea, he was, I think, the CEO at the time. He also worked for GlaxoSmithKline. But he's also within the United Health Group apparatus. Like
How would we run the company differently from Brian?
He won't. He wouldn't. Like that. That's
So then
like he wouldn't.
What's the point then?
The point I'm trying to make here is that, like, the people should be able to democratically decide who their leaders are and how their leaders are taken off. Absolutely, the workers, I think, have a stronger say.
Oh, you want worker co-ops then? Okay, I see what you're
No,
going at.
no, but okay.
It is what he wants. He just doesn't want to say it.
Yeah, that's
No,
exactly what
I
you're
don't-
saying because the way
I
that
don't
companies are
want worker
structured.
co-ops. I don't want worker co-ops, but you
Then
can
what are you
believe that if
saying?
you want.
From what I'm reading, Sir Andrew Philip Whitty
What's happening?
He had a business structure that allowed employees to have more of a voice in the company overall. So I mean, if that's
There's no way it was low level employees though. It had to be only the management level because low level employees don't know anything.
You can't listen to everybody.
So
Yeah.
what was the whole like? How do we get to this point? Because I thought the question was how do we fix the?
I don't know how we got to this
People.
point, but they're
Okay.
just yapping.
Right. I like the point. I was making the point of how we're an unorganized group of people, and one of the ways that we can get to a situation where we don't have people getting glass in the street is we're actually organized against people. Just organized as against people in situations in terms of means of business and goods and services, but also more broadly is organized as just a group of people where we have a normative ground of understanding some things are not okay. And those things that are not okay can lead to poor outcomes, like getting glass in the street at 6:45 in the morning.
So there's multiple issues here. First of all, that is us being organized. Unless you're putting cameras on every street, whatever else, and even if you do that, you're still not going to be.
Organization's not surveillance, friend, but okay.
Well, no. Unless you're like surveillance and everything, there's no real way to actually prevent. If someone wants to get killed,
he was shot on camera. This man was murdered on camera. They caught it, and they got the suspect.
And
We're in a
people are more
surveillance state in New York
mad
City.
that he was at
Like, let's make that
Starbucks
clear, friend.
beforehand.
But keep going. I'm sorry.
Hold
I
on.
don't want to get heated.
Yeah, he was. Hold on. He was more. There are people out there that are more mad that the guy was at a Starbucks beforehand than that he murdered a dude in cold blood. They're more mad that he shopped it. He dared to shop at Starbucks than they are that he murdered a dude in cold blood.
Anyway,
that's a state of play for a lot of people. But go ahead.
So the organized thing, even if you're really more organized, whatever else, it still doesn't prevent. If someone wants to kill someone, there's always going to be finding a way. Okay,
you can't prevent it unless you want to be a fascist. So yeah,
Correct.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So on that point, second of all, the even if
to remind you guys of the question, because I'm not sure you remember the question. The question is how do we as a society slow down or reverse the trend of people making it okay or good to celebrate the death of their enemies?
Yeah. I was actually getting back to that point by peeling back, but okay.
Go ahead.
Even if you organize whatever else, you still can't really prevent people talking bad about another person or whatever else, or having a negative view, etc. Because
not trying to
speech
prevent it. I'm trying to make it less socially acceptable.
I've got an answer.
Reducing, prevention, whatever. Similar outcome to where you want to reduce the number of people, whatever else. You can't if you still have freedom of speech, because freedom of speech allows you to actually give your opinion, even if it is a false one. Look at I'm going to jump to the voting for 2 seconds. Please don't go straight to the voting things, but look at the egg issue and all other stuff like that. People use that as their reasoning for voting. Voting is even if that is not 100% accurate or else. So, and other lies that were said in politics, whatever else, people still voted a certain way because they believe those lies. So even if we had a true perfect system, if a lot with freedom of speech, some people could lie about said person, which then would cause people to go crazy.
Sorry, that's fucking ridiculous. Some of the most, pretty much all of the most violent societies in the world have freedom of speech restrictions.
We're a
And-
violent society. Like,
Yeah, laws regarding freedom of speech restrictions. But we're a violent society, not nearly as violent as the ones I'm talking about. In fact, the lack of freedom of speech tends to invoke violence in itself because, again, if you don't have an outlet that is nonviolent, you are more likely to devolve into an outlet that is violent, right? And all of the speculation we have about why this dude might have killed this guy, most of the scenarios we're playing out is there was something that this dude was not able to express any other way than than that he felt he had to kill this guy. It's absolutely absurd that free speech, the idea that a free speech restriction would solve
I didn't say that.
degrading. It is what you said. You said we can't
No.
fix it with free speech.
Free speech will cause a situation like this. Can cause a situation like this. Even if you got rid of free speech, the real issue is the underlying part is human nature. That is actually the whole problem.
Then why does free speech mentioned if you weren't recommending us somehow limiting it? Why did you mention it? For fun?
Because Wick is horny about free speech. That's the reason why. Because Wick will always say free speech is the answer to like 90% of things.
I'm gonna ask Coyote again, and I'm gonna ask him to actually tell me why, because that's a cop out. That's a no because of you. No. Why did you bring up free speech if you weren't recommending that we restrict free speech?
So I'm not. The issue is I'm actually pointing out the problem. Not actually. I have no answer. I have no actual answer to the thing because the problem is even in a restrictive society, whatever else, there will still be the human problem, but humans will still be violent, etc.
You're saying the problem is free speech?
Okay. People are asking me what death they can celebrate if not their enemies. Don't celebrate death. That's my don't celebrate death.
Nah, I'm gonna celebrate some death.
Celebrating your enemy's death is part of free speech. If you want to reduce that, you have to reduce.
Listen, it's like wait. I don't think it's unreasonable to say like I don't think it's unreasonable to say that some people like the world will be a better place. I think even you said it. The world would be a better place if some of these people were not on it. However, the issue that comes into play is going extrajudicially to take these people off the map is something that's unacceptable.
That is also an issue, yes. But I think that the distinction
because I'm going to cheer when Clarence Thomas dies, when Steven Crowder dies.
Hold on.
Ben Shapiro, I'm going to have a fucking birthday party. Like that's my second birthday.
Though. That's bad, right?
Yeah,
you
that's
should not do that. You can recognize that this person, it's better. The world is a better place.
Make sure the cake's good.
You can recognize that, but there's a difference between doing that, recognizing that fact, and then having a party about it and celebrate.
What kind of cake?
I will have a party when Clarence Thomas dies.
What
and the
kind
only
of cake?
saddest.
I think the context to keep in mind here is that Joe's gonna do it privately. He's not gonna
probably a boat cake.
No, even then it's bad. This is the issue. The separation. This is what I'm sick of because it happens every time we have these conversations. People wonder why shit gets worse and worse.
Shit,
you
I got
cannot separate the private at large from the public at large because the private at large informs the public at large. What you do in private, what you accept and tolerate in private, you will eventually do in public. It is just how it works. It'll eventually, it forms who you are. Private life is more of your life than public life, even if you are a public figure, and it informs and develops who you. It develops and informs who you are and the people you're around and the things you tolerate from the people you're around when you are in private, when you're hanging out with your friends. That stuff permeates you it permeates into you at such a deep level that it is impossible to not see the social fabric start to tear. If everyone is like, we're all going to tolerate all the hate we want in private and we're gonna put on our best face in public. It doesn't work that way. We see it constantly not work that way. With all of the biggest creators, right? It's the reason why we see all these fucking YouTube and Twitch and people, they end up fucking touching kids or hurting somebody or domestic violencing and shit like that. It's because of this idea that you can just be a piece of shit or accept piece of shit behavior and principles in private, and then in public behave, and you're good. It's not okay. We need to encourage
That's fair.
value-driven behavior from the moment we wake up to the moment our head hits the pillow,
And we're
regardless
not
of
gonna
who's
look.
watching.
I'm not perfect at this. No one's perfect at this.
Yeah,
We're all gonna do
of course.
stupid shit. Okay, but the thing is instead of saying, "Man, what I did was stupid and shit," a lot of people try to justify their own behavior. Say, "Well, no, I'm not a bad person. This is actually okay that I do this, and this is why. It's not bad. I like to do it. Therefore, we have to figure out a way to justify the thing that I like to do that is destroying me and destroying society is actually a good thing." Now, again, to Coyote's point here, if I may finish, right? Coyote's point here is that we can never prevent this 100% unless we do these totalitarian free speech restrictions. I agree that we can never prevent it 100%. That's not my goal, is to prevent it 100%. My goal here is to make it socially unacceptable. Just like it's legal to do a lot of things, but it's socially unacceptable to do those things, right? You were seen as worse.
I have a relevant life event.
Let me finish, please. Oh my God, it's my own show. Let me finish.
I thought you were
and then
done.
You can
Sorry.
go. I understand, right? Let me finish. It's my own show, right? So again, a lot of people, it makes them feel good when they celebrate the death of their enemies because there's a schadenfreude. It's a very human thing to do. But my argument here is that it hurts you. It hurts you and it hurts society that this is the case. And I think that if we did not do that, the world would be a better place. We would be kinder. We would be more empathetic. There would be less violence. There would be less hate. It would just be better overall. So my advocacy is you shouldn't celebrate even Hitler's death. Even fucking let me finish. Even Hitler's death, even Osama bin Laden's death, even Sinwar's death. You could say, man, it's good that they died or it's good that they were stopped. I'm glad that we no longer have to live under their impression, but to celebrate their death. And I see a lot of people doing this, like making memes and like I see GIFs online of like the horrific deaths that they suffer and people laughing at that. That makes you a worse person. It makes society worse. It makes us more violent, we are less likely to see other people as human, and it's just worse outcomes overall. And everyone's like, "Oh, why is the world in such a hateful place right now?" That's why. You're why.
Wait, can
I
ask you a question though?
You can.
Is it better? Is it better for us to express our hate for our enemies or enjoy their deaths through memes better than rallying in the streets? Because I think we talk about needing an outlet, like celebrating. No, like we need an outlet of some sort for our range of emotions.
Yeah, what he is saying. Hold on. What he is saying is you shouldn't value the death of someone so highly, and you're saying, "Well, I do. So how should I celebrate it if I want to?"
I'm just saying. I'm saying it's gonna happen regardless. You cannot remove this. Like you cannot
people are gonna rape kids regardless.
This
what kind of
is
outlet do you want for
This
that?
is childish.
Yeah, but like it's an okay.
What kind of outlet do you want for that?
Are childish. Like humans
this
as a
is
species.
red pill.
No,
This is childish red pill bullshit.
Let me talk. Let me talk, please. Humans are childish. This is gonna happen regardless. If you wanted to calm it down on social media, what you need to do is find better voices to listen to on social media. You need to make this populism.
God damn it.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like, rather than saying, to like eliminate, all right, we should find ways to make it so it's less harmful. Isn't that slightly better? Instead of, we used to have rallies at like with pitchforks, now it's just slightly memes.
It's a symptom, and I'm trying to cure the disease. Like I get it, right? Like again, like I think we could do both. I think that we can try to channel the hate that's there, right? But we can also say the fact that this hate there is a problem, and we need to fix that. And until we fix that, it's going to continue to be a problem.
What if we gave everyone a shrink, a psychologist, or whatever else, like a government thing, so that way they can deal with their mental issues or queries or whatever?
I mean, potentially, but a lot of this isn't diagnosable, and you can only get out of therapy what you're willing to give to therapy. The issue is we have a culture of people, and I'm hearing it right now, culture of very childish people who, when Wick asks, what can we do, talking to us in this call, everybody instantly talks about all the things you can't help outside of you. Instead of saying, you know what can I do? What is my individual responsibility?
Well,
I have.
I would like to give.
I said we need to personally weed out that toxic shit from our own private lives. We need to stop tolerating us in this call. We need to stop tolerating shit in private that we wouldn't tolerate in public. And 3, we need to start encouraging value-driven behavior from the moment we wake up in the morning to the moment our head hits the pillow.
The big
that doesn't mean
thing,
you have to be perfect. That means you need to start behaving
we
according
don't
to
agree on
values.
values.
well, that's
Yeah,
the.
don't
I think.
agree
Hold
on
on.
We don't
you're-
agree that people dying or getting murdered is generally bad. You
Clearly
don't share
not.
that value.
As a society,
I will
clearly
say-
not.
No, stop. Hold on, Wick, stop. You're being a bitch and a coward. Do you believe, as an adult man in this call, do you stop fucking outsourcing this? You're being such a baby every time you talk. What do you think about people being murdered in the street?
I already do this shit in my personal life.
You already murdered
Oh
people
my
in your
God.
personal life?
Can you not? No, you
I
don't,
don't
because you'd answer this
tolerate
question.
this stuff. I've been trying to answer. I don't tolerate this shit in my personal life.
Okay.
I don't speak with people who celebrate this shit in my personal life.
So
This is not my personal life. We are talking in general.
So then when you say we don't share values, you were wrong. We do share that value.
We, good sir.
Okay, stop using the royal we. The royal we is the problem.
I asked for the royal we.
The royal we. No, I asked for the individual. Me.
You're not.
Okay, we're being. Okay, we're being a little pedantic, both of you.
No, it's not pedantic. This is my whole point. People need to stop using everyone else as a fucking excuse to not do this shit.
Wait, this is a society problem. Wait, this is isn't this like because Wick saw a lot of people, sharing a similar experience of like, fuck this guy, I'm glad he's dead. It's easy to always say individually, but like we're seeing a phenomenon.
It's the hardest thing. You came in here and immediately slept for all these fucking people, even though you guys claim to be doing all this shit while actively doing the opposite in here. You guys all came in to sleep.
I don't give a shit that this guy's there or not. Honestly.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. You should give a shit. You need to live according to your values better. You need to be more of an adult, and you need to take individual responsibility and not come in here and sleep for this bullshit.
How do you know
I also don't give a shit, but I don't celebrate it.
I mean, when Susan Wojcicki died, I popped off in a very disgusting way. And what solved my behavior from that point on was I got shamed. Like, I saw tweets, I saw posts, like, regardless of what you think of her, don't celebrate this shit. And I legitimately thought she was like a terrible, evil woman. And Wick, I'm one of the people Wick describes. I was making memes, I was talking my shit, and then I just saw people from this community and everything talking about why are people so, and I felt shame, and I took that into myself. I took shame into myself as this is disgusting behavior, and I grew up, and now I'm not going to celebrate the death of anyone.
Audacity, can I ask you a question?
Before
Did anyone talk you out of it? Sorry.
Yeah, before you do, and I will. I do curious what you have. I think that the point here is that because I before you guys got off on your little pedantic disagreement, I think that I Love Intuit had a point here, is that as a society, there is a value that I have, right? That I value, that many in society obviously does not have that value, right?
Exactly.
So how do we get them to have and value that value that I have, to understand that value is a better value to hold? And I think that unfortunately I can only be an example. And this is to Jeb's point, right? Mm-hmm. Is I have to act in such a way and comport myself in such a way and conduct myself in such a way, not just in public when I think everyone's watching, but in private as well, that we're not okay with this. This is not something we should celebrate. So we can have a experience, or we can hopefully have people like Audacity here look at us and say, man, this person, I like what he has. I want what he has. So I want to act more like this person, right?
I have an answer.
Goal. But
that
hold on before you go. Rizius or whatever had a question and I interrupted him, so I want to give him the ball to let him ask that question. So go ahead.
Sorry, Audacity. it's great that you changed. I'm just wondering, did anyone talk to you, or was this like a whole self-discovery kind of deal?
There were a few DMs. I think I was even popping off in the Discord and into it. Generic might have said something like bro, shut the fuck up. And that's when it just like, yeah, I'm doing something gross. It doesn't help me to act this way. It doesn't improve my life, so I'm just gonna cut it out.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that we can do as individuals is to support people we see that are having this issue. We should reward people we should reward, give incentives to doing the good act, and then also if we can support those we see that are struggling with this issue. Because I think if we, even in this topic, the man who killed the CEO, and a lot of times these people are lashing out at an unjust system or something they feel it's unfair in the world. So maybe it's really just talking to them and saying how we can the world can be better. Yet make them so they don't feel like need to lash out. It's
One of the problems though is that behavior is rewarded in a lot of circles. It's
Yeah,
rewarded.
I know,
we
but I'm
touched
saying
on
that
that
we need
earlier.
to like yeah, but I'm just thinking like it's just we have to change incentives. I think is the strongest or at least put new incentives out there to alter courses. Because it's really hard to say for an individual, you have to change. I mean, someone had to talk to Audacity to say, hey, this is kind of nasty. Maybe you can think about this in a different way, yada yada. I'm sure there's different talks he had, but someone had to talk to him
You
and not
you
shame
might
him.
get you might get your wish because advertisers are starting to pull out of Twitch, and when one part of this is when the monetization of these behaviors goes, a lot of this behavior is going to go with it.
The
Yeah,
issue is
but
it's
we have
also on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that there's Twitter, and also like I mean I think I think the problem is right now there's just no good way of just rewarding good actions. I mean this goes all the way back to like the previous debate yesterday. It's like it's hard to do good acts if you're not rewarded for it.
Even if you, well, I mean, first
Look,
of all,
I don't
people
hold on.
will
No,
argue-
I'll let you go in a second, Coyote. But this annoys me, and it's not your fault, right? You've just triggered something that people say all the time that really kind of grinds my gears. I don't live my values because I get head pats and treats for it. I'm not honest because people reward me for being honest. I'm honest because that's the right thing to do, right? And I think that like where it's this is a way we teach our children through reward and punishment thing. We teach children this because they need it because they can't grasp higher concepts and they can't internalize these things. And I don't have all the answers here. I'm not pretending to have a golden path that everyone can follow. I'm not Jesus, right? Things like that. But I will say that like we need to figure out a way to get people to admit that it's a problem, because a lot of people won't even admit it's a problem right now. They won't even admit it's bad to do this. And I think that's the first step. Like, the alcoholism, you got the 12-step program or whatever. The first step is recognizing you have a problem. I think that's the first step. We got to get people to just admit and to recognize somehow internally that this kind of behavior is bad. I asked the question because I don't know. How do we do that?
I had a
Coyote, go ahead.
Give me a second. Go ahead first. I'm dealing with someone called, so give me a second. So go ahead.
Thank you. I've been trying to say for this entire time, the answer is both simple and complicated at the same time. The issue is social media and how everyone's in this giant, at the same time, echo chamber and individualized at the same time. There's no accountability on social media. Everyone gets to live in their own little bubble. What we need to do is we need to lower the voices and say this is okay, like the content creators that keep talking about revolution, fuck the rich, populism is good or whatnot, like the Hassans or whatnot, who are essentially like as close to tanky as you can get without admitting it. And we need to elevate people like Wick, who say we can behave
Make it sound like
better
a cult,
than
man.
this. We can be
I
yes.
disagree.
I'm sorry.
I disagree.
Can I finish? Can I finish, please?
Finish your point. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all this stuff is just cults in action. Like we just need to be the bigger cult, the bigger voices, and then people, say for example, like Audacity, will see your voice more often than they will see the opposite voice. I mean, for my own personal speaking, I was on my way to like the far left stuff and whatnot, like like Gaza's a genocide, fuck the socialism is the way, and then I ran into Destiny and I was like knocked out of that shit because honestly, all the arguments he made were he had a point. And then I started interacting with his community and communities that I interact with him, and I found Wick, and from there, I'm here. I am here bitching about this on your panel right now because I love you, man, platonically. Now I'm gonna face death for a bit
Glazing.
because I'm
Here,
sick.
I actually had a kind of of an epiphany, if you will, as we've been talking, and this is one of the reasons I love talking to you guys.
Do you smell toast?
Again, you guys help.
I want toast.
Help me think through my thought processes here. Help me work through my thought processes here. Here's the deal. I think that how we change these communities, how we make this unacceptable, is by being willing to face the consequences of standing up in a room that you know is going to laugh at you and say, hey, no, you're all wrong. This is not acceptable. And then,
Exactly.
face the scorn. Accept the scorn. Accept the booting you might get, right? We have to be brave. And this sounds soy, right, or whatever, but we have to be brave, have the courage of our convictions, to even know it's going to be unpopular. If you go into Destiny's community or DGG, you're going to get shouted down. You're going to be memes made out of you, all this. You have to still be willing, even though you know that's going to be the case, and say, no, you're wrong. I'm correct, and this is the way. And I just, yeah, we need more courage. We need to have more bravery. And I think
yeah,
that's
I mean, I
the
think
start.
steadfastness.
Real quick, I'm gonna tap out. I've been sick. This was all.
I hope you feel better. Thank you for coming
Bye,
on.
generic.
But yeah, I think steadfastness is an important value, but I think we need to understand where it comes from. And it comes from confidence. And real confidence can only be generated by putting your ability or your idea or whatever it is you need confidence in to the test consistently. And you need to be auditing whether your values are good and whether they work out in situations consistently. And everything comes down to the individual, an individual responsibility. No amount of putting our fingers on the scales of social media is going to do anything. We had these problems before social media, and we had them worse. We had the KKK essentially running the U.S. government before social media was ever a thing. We got to realize we're actually not in this catastrophically bad position right now. We're in a slight bump lower than the all-time highs we had been at. And we have to appreciate where we're at in that regard. We have to appreciate that the principles that got us there, which were free speech and ideas being proliferated faster and faster. Things have gotten remarkably better in the world since the advent of the internet and connected media, and it'll probably continue to do that in the grand scheme of things. As long as people still accept individual responsibility and promote individual responsibility and individual principles and values. And what we can't do is be so empathetic that we sweep for shitty ideas like this or give excuses or push back on people who aren't giving these ideas enough credit. Like the tankies constantly have allies in progressives because progressives are like kind of what Joe Lewis is doing, where it's like, well, I'm not going to condemn Hamas. It's not useful. It's like, he's not a tanky.
How are you going to
that is sweeping for the tankies? How am I going to what?
Enforce this? Because the issue with the social, basically looking at yourself and everything else is that's great for yourself. But there are people that are not going to do it. So how do you enforce this?
I mean, the same way that all of these communities were built in the first place. It's all social pressure. 90% of the people on the internet with political views that they voice got their political views from their social group. It went social group, then politics, not politics, then social group.
But wouldn't it be better then to really just first find a like-minded group? Because if you're the only one standing, you'll probably be drowned out by the opposite social pressure of what you're fighting against.
Sometimes, but again, this is just something where over time it has to take place. Where I'm not saying individual responsibility, meaning isolate yourself
Yeah,
from
I don't
everybody
think
else.
there's
I'm saying the
anything we can
opposite.
flick a switch and just fix it.
Yeah,
Right? I
yeah.
just
I'm
don't think
saying
it's
your
possible.
individual responsibility to sway your social group through what Wick was saying, being steadfast and being intolerant of people not living out their values and being willing to call out people that you care about and call out people
Even
that
if you'll
you
take a hit for it, right?
yeah,
Even if
call
you're
out
gonna
people
take a
that you
hit for
want
it,
to
yeah.
appeal to or want to be friends with.
You know what you'll
you need
find?
to be willing to call them out.
You'll find that people respect that, actually. You'll
Yeah.
find, like, I know it's scary, but and they might give you shit a while, but if you keep doing it, you'll get to be known as the guy who is going to tell it like it is. You're going to be known, you'll get a reputation as the
Or you
guy
get hated.
who's willing to just call people
Who
out if they
cares?
think
You get
they're
hated
wrong.
by all the right people. Not to jerk myself off. The only reason I am on panels as often as I am, I don't do
Please
shit
don't
or
jerk
get views
yourself
for
off on
anybody. Yeah, but the only I don't stream or get views. I'm not like remarkably attractive or entertaining. The only reason I am on as many shows as I am and invited on as many shows as I am is because I'm known as the guy who is going to be steadfast, and I'm someone you can have against hard righties on my conservative side, and I'm someone that you can have against lefties on that side, and I'm gonna be consistent. I'm not just gonna jump teams because of whatever current political issue is happening.
But the issue is not you. The issue is the other people, the people that are watching us right now. A lot of them aren't don't go on the shows, don't do the talking, don't do anything like that. So
Mhm.
if they get hated in their own little social cliques, that is really hard for them. I mean, that's how a lot of
Yeah.
people do
So-
bad stuff, is because they have no one to talk to, no one to vent to, no one to whatever else. I mean, that isn't that a decent issue,
It's
reason why we have
difficult.
school
No,
shooters and stuff?
that's why it's scary.
So
That's why
so
it's hard.
we need to
yeah.
provide that social pressure without the hate and the dehumanization. We need to provide that same social pressure for the people who are in our groups who would find it really hard to lose support from us. We need to show them, you're going to lose support from me if you continue to behave against the values that you espouse, that you claim to share with me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tolerate it.
There's a lot of topics I would like to participate in, and I knew if I kept up with my behavior, I would eventually not be invited back. But that was a me thing. I had to take that in and manage that. But I'm glad
Okay,
I did.
gang.
So I'm gonna say something that's gonna might tick people off, but there is a social platform that actually is actually trying something like that, to where you can control your interactions and everything else in your settings. Have you heard this thing? It's called Blue Sky.
You fuck.
Mate, I'm only there for anime titties, okay?
That seems like a really dumb way to do it. I don't think isolating yourself from those people is the last thing I'm saying to do. You can't apply social pressure to people that you just nix without warning and remove from any trace of them.
I think, but at the same
No,
time,
it's
I think
not.
you
It's
can,
not.
no, I think at the same time you can start out small. You don't jump into the cesspool of
You can't influence people who
Twitter.
aren't there. Okay.
But I'm saying, I'm saying you can start small, grow your, test out, standing up maybe against 2 people instead of 5, and slowly grow your, grow your, grow your, I don't even know, fuck 'em. But, be more experienced at fighting against the crowd, basically.
Yeah.
How do you do that when you just eliminate the crowd from your view?
No, I'm saying limit the size of it. Maybe test,
I get
maybe
what you're
test out few
saying.
people, but
Start
yeah.
small, start slow. I get it,
Yeah,
but we're having a little bit of different conversations. I hate to cut this short.
Sure.
But I was fucking it was a late night. Look, we had a lot of streaming last night.
I slept at 6 because of your stream. God damn it!
Yeah, it was a lot, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was frustrating at times, but it was fun.
No, you enjoyed it because of Artemis.
Look, I enjoyed it because of a lot of reasons. There's 500 reasons I enjoyed that show. Okay, let's just say, hey, I could use a little more reasons to enjoy this one, but no, I hope everyone enjoyed the content today and enjoyed the discussion. I know we kind of went all over the place. This was very fractured, but you know what? I just wanted to kind of a chill stream, have people on, just chill, and talk about what people wanted to talk about. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna be having a show on Trump's deportation plan. It's gonna be fun. We got people like Lactoid, Gibbs, Confluence, new guy. We have some new people on the other side. We have Big Papa Buckaroo. We have
Oh, she's great.
yeah, she is great. And but I have never had her on my show, so I'm
Mm.
excited to have her on. And we got like Katiusha, and we got the Doghouse show. And so it's gonna be a fun time. Hope you guys tune in for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. But for now, peace out, Girl Scouts. Bye bye. Bye bye, everyone.
Take
Peace.
care.